against the HSE seeking substantial damages. 18 residents with intellectual disabilities were abused over a 13-year period. The Brandon report into the incident has found that management and staff had full knowledge of the incidents, which were carried out by another service user. Solicitor Cian O'Carroll says the victims could sue through other parties.
From a legal point of view, the HSE is responsible for abuse that they suffered within the care home, particularly where that was either known or ought to have been known by management, and that seems to have been the case. Where sexual offences are committed, the harm is of the gravest level, and that should be reflected in the measure of the redress of the financial amount.
Permanent TSB is to buy €7.6 billion worth of assets from Ulster Bank. It includes performing non-tracker mortgages as well as performing SME loans and Ulster Bank's Lombard asset finance business. 25 Ulster Bank branches are also part of the deal. Roughly 450 employees in them will be able to transfer. The sale is part of Ulster Bank's plan to withdraw from the Irish market in the coming years. There are traffic delays being reported in the vicinity of Manor Cunningham. There's been a collision involving two trucks in the vicinity of the picnic area near Maharibeg National School. No injuries have been reported, but some traffic delays as a result. And an enhanced accessible toilet and changing facility is to be developed in Letterkenny after Donegal County Council secured a €75,000 allocation under the Disability Participation and Awareness Programme. The bulk of the money will go toward a changing places unit. The unit will serve people with complex needs. Councillor Jimmy Kavanagh is Mayor of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District and a disability campaigner. He says work should start in the new year.
In terms of timeline now on it, the grant runs from April 2022 until March 2023. So the work has to start by April next year and has to be finished by March the following year. Hopefully, if we can, find a suitable location now, get it started in April, we should have it, and ready for the summer of next year.
Dry and mostly cloudy with occasional periods of sunshine. Highest afternoon temperature 7 or 8 degrees Celsius in light to moderate southeast breezes. That's Highland Radio News. We're back with news again at 10 o'clock.
Well, Davy, brilliant that you weren't in work today. We had some crack. It was Peter's last shift, so we all went out for lunch. Thanks for staying away. The lads are delighted. Chat to you soon. Mind yourself.
No one will thank you for turning up to work or anything else when you're sick. Stay at home and get a PCR test to protect yourself and others from COVID-19. From the HSE, for us all.
Chanel, Flowerbomb, Lancôme, Giorgio Armani, Paco Rabanne, Hugo Boss. Where else but at McGee's Chemist this Christmas? Sponsors of the 9 till noon show.
And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
And a very good morning to you. Just approaching 5 minutes past 9. You're very welcome along to the 9 till Noon Show here in Highland Radio. It's a busy one as always on a Friday. Our Friday panel, I'll introduce you to them very shortly. After 10 o'clock, we'll be joined by a spokesperson for the HSE discussing the publication of elements of the Brandon report. And also, after 11 o'clock, Micheal and Fionnuala are in with us. But it is time to say good morning to our guests today. But before we do, actually, I just want to remind you to get involved in the conversation. WhatsApp or text 086 60 25,000. Call 07491 25,000. Or emails to comments@highlandradio.com. Imagine why if you're joining us across our social media on YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, or on our Facebook pages, you can interact with us there. Okay, without further ado, good morning, Councillor Rena Donaghey. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Greg.
Good to have you on the program.
Everybody.
Of course, Fianna Fáil Councillor in the Inishowen Municipal District. Professor Pat O'Connor, Professor of Sociology and Social Policy at Limerick University. Great to have you back on the programme. Pat, thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
And last but certainly not least, Micheal White, Chair of the Green Party in Donegal. Micheal, good morning to you.
Good morning, Greg.
I'll start with you, Professor O'Connor, if that's okay. And as we have been covering extensively on this programme, on this radio station too, the Brandon report, elements of it, well, it was published yesterday. It makes for devastating reading, no doubt. And families of some intellectually disabled adults who were subjected to sustained sexual abuse at a health service executive-run Disability Centre in County Donegal say they are livid they did not get a summary of an investigation into the abuse prior to the publication yesterday. An executive summary of the Brandon report completed by the National Independent Review Panel in August 2020 was published online by the HSE at about 12:30 yesterday. It identifies at least 108 instances of sexual abuse perpetrated against upwards of 18 intellectually disabled residents of the Ard Green Court complex in Stranraer by another resident between 2003 and 2016. Given the pseudonym Brandon in the report, he was moved to a private nursing home in May 2016 and died there last year. Now, every element of this story, Professor, is just absolutely shocking, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, in a way, it's hard to know even where to start. But I think perhaps one of the most shocking things was the fact that it is made very clear in the summary of the report, which is all we have at the moment, that basically staff and management were aware of it, that the nursing staff tried over and over. They wrote, they alerted management to it. Basically, the abuse was recognised from 1997 onwards, and management did nothing. Now, in a way, like in other situations, it could be said people didn't know, blah-de-blah, but the report makes quite clear that the nursing staff felt completely disempowered. So it seems to me it is very clear that where the buck stops. The buck stops at the management of the facility and also at the HSE who were meant to have overseen the facility. I listened to Paul Reid and I was very disquieted. He was asked for the first time this morning, he wasn't asked on RTE last night, about what action will be taken against the managers who basically colluded.
A scoping exercise is what they say.
Exactly. Vacuous. The report has been done. The responsibility is clear. He said if it emerged that it was necessary, he would take action. The report is an indictment. The question is, what is going to be done? He thought there were some people might have moved on, some managers might be still in post. I'm sorry, this is a point where really accountability has to happen.
I think you can feel that it's a terrible indictment of the head of an organisation to be asked such fundamental questions and not be able to give a clear response. You know, that this report has been compiled, people have actually had to fight tooth and nail to get even part of it released. And on a fundamental question like accountability about are people who have some responsibility still working with vulnerable people, for those answers to be ambiguous and shifty is very, very worrying.
Totally. And I mean, there is totally apart from the absolutely devastating effects emotionally, psychologically, socially on the families as well as on the patients themselves, the people in the residential centre. But there is also the real financial consequence, as was mentioned in your news, like the families of the people who have been sexually abused are perfectly entitled to take legal action against the HSE for failing to protect their loved ones.
And what does this say to other people, families of other people who believe that their loved ones may have been victims? You know,
exactly.
What is being done to explore that? What was done to explore that? You know, focusing on 18 and a number of instances. But beyond that, there's an awful lot of people out there with unanswered questions at the moment.
And Paul Reid yesterday was asked, his first response to all of this was saying that currently measures had been put in place to enable staff to report. But the key thing about this situation is that the staff knew, the staff reported, the staff wrote and were ignored. So really, I mean, this is just a defining moment. Either the HSE is accountable, either that it is willing to basically deal with the managers in its own structure and in the facility who did nothing, or it is not willing to do so. And if it is not willing to do so, quite honestly, I don't see how we as taxpayers can support a structure that colludes with the sexual abuse of people who are in residential centres. It is absolutely
And before I bring the next guests in, I've heard two people comment on this, and they were hitting the same points regardless of what questions they were answered. I strongly suspect they were just briefed on this, that they don't actually have a true and thorough understanding, because the points that they hit on were so different. Like, it was clear that initially they were sent out to say that we also failed Brandon. Now, I'm saying that's not the case, but there were a few points in the responses, regardless of the questions, that it was clear that there's a strategy as to how to answer these questions. And then we get down to the nitty-gritty questions, well, then it's the answers then start becoming grey. Councillor Rena Donaghey, as I say, everything about this, right from its first reporting, nothing seemingly done about that, then right down to the battle to try and get elements of this published, and when it is published, that the general population see it before some of those families affected actually see it. Everything about this from beginning to end is horrendous.
Yeah, totally agree, and totally agree with everything that Pat has said. The safety and protection of vulnerable people in the care of the state is paramount. And the report on this issue is shocking and upsetting at what has happened. And we think of the individuals and the families involved. The families entrusted their adults with intellectual disability into what they believe to be a safe place. People put their trust in their care. And I can only begin to imagine what they have been through and what they are going through. I mean, 18 vulnerable people were sexually abused. It was absolutely appalling. And we must remember the abuser was a vulnerable adult as well.
And also, the action that was taken created more victims, because a perpetrator was moved from one site to another site. And it was that action that put people in harm's way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that never should have been the case. Absolutely not. It's despicable what happened. Lessons need to be learned, absolutely. Recommendations put in place, strong, firm recommendations, and the implementation of those recommendations arising from the report need to be put in place yesterday. It's shocking. It is shocking.
Michael White, listen, I'm not looking for heads on a stick here, but I'm absolutely sick and tired now of the lack of accountability. The fact that no one actually ultimately seems to be responsible. We hear these reports, shocking behaviour, people having terrible experiences, and in some cases people losing their lives, not as it relates to this particular case, but I'm on about other scandals and controversies. And ultimately, it feels like no one is responsible. The HSE, as a collective, will assume some sort of responsibility, say sorry or what have you. But in terms of, where does the buck stop? Whose fault is it? What is going to be done to punish these people, or whatever it might be, to ensure, and maybe that's the way we ensure something like this might not happen again?
Well, I think there's a few points here that are specific to this, and then there's more general patterns that we see. So one of the things I'd highlight is that none of us would know about this if it weren't for a whistleblower. So while this has been reported and talked about internally, none of us would be talking about this now if it weren't for the fact that there was a whistleblower. That's really important in a number of really severe cases like Maurice McCabe and the Gardaí. That's number one. So there's some things that can be done to make sure, if we want to make sure this doesn't happen in future, whistleblowers need greater protection than they currently have. Mm-hmm. There's a report from Harvard Business School talking about how they can be protected and incentivized. So that's one thing. This wouldn't be a conversation. These people, we would never find out about this if it weren't for the whistleblower. The second thing is there a mechanism to ensure that this doesn't happen again, not only in similar situations in the HSE with people who have intellectual disabilities, but generally, my guess is, there's a pattern here. If you look at the pattern of a perpetrator, line managers not paying attention, and then the first recourse is to move them around. That sounds a lot like what happened to children in the Catholic Church and parish priests being moved around. We've seen this pattern before. And who normally gets affected? It's the most vulnerable. So in the case of the church, it was kids who didn't have parents, or parents were divorced, or were marginalized. Here we're talking about adults that are intellectually disabled. My guess is the next most at-risk people, just on top of my head, is that people in old people's homes. I think the way that's structured in Ireland, there's going to be a scandal there in the next 10 years' time too, because it's a for-profit industry that really shouldn't be for-profit. Again, people are put in institutions and kind of forgotten about, and there's not enough protections and regulatory protections to protect them. So that's where I'd suspect the next big scandal is going to be in the next 10 years.
Like, I'm not contradicting you, but Maybe it's not helping your point, but we do have the reports of elder abuse that is compiled, and the figures are absolutely shocking. Both, and that's those who can actually report. It might not, between physical abuse, financial abuse. I can't remember the figure off the top of my head, but the numbers are in the thousands annually that are filing reports. So if that's what we're seeing, I think maybe you could be well justified in saying, when what we're not seeing, when's that going to be uncovered?
Yeah, so I mean, the question then is first of all, say that that's likely to identify vulnerable groups in society and anticipate that these are the ones that are going to be at risk, and then try and figure out a mechanism to make sure this never happens again. And there's nothing that's being said today that would indicate that we're in any greater likelihood of this not happening again. Like Paul Reid making a press release, I don't want to pick on him personally, but the HSE rattle out some press releases, they do a couple of interviews, and it'll trundle along. People will forget in 3 or 4 months and we're back to the same situation. So there does need to be... in
relation to Paul Reid, and I can understand why, but let's singling him out, because he is actually he's the top dog here. He is the boss, okay, and he is...
He came in 2019, is the reason I don't want to pick on him.
Well, that's, it's a long time since 2019 that this report wasn't published, and someone wrote to the minister sort of saying we won't publish it, and the HSE worked for the minister. But, he's paid an awful lot of money. And the very least, you should, listening to him, believe that he is fully across a topic like this and every element of it. But anyway.
Yeah. No, he shouldn't be let off the hook. I mean, but there's a structural problem here that we're seeing in a lot of parts of our society. I don't think it's an Irish thing only, but it's definitely a problem in Ireland, and we need to sort it out. So we've seen it with the priests. We've seen it with the Catholic Church. We're seeing it here. We've seen it in other areas. The mothers and babies' homes. We're seeing this pattern all the time, and there doesn't seem to be... The structure of the solution doesn't seem to be that different. We need whistleblower legislation beefed up a bit, and we need structures to make sure there's some kind of ombudsman for vulnerable people, a mechanism to make sure that something like this is properly investigated and people are reprimanded. As you said, the lack of accountability. This is again a real pattern in Irish life. Like after the financial crash, everybody goes off, retires with a big pension, and end of story. There's no payback for doing something that's wrong or letting really bad stuff happen, and that needs to change.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels to me a little bit like, you say, well, Professor, you say, well, some people have retired, some are still in the service, we're doing a scoping. You say that public, it's almost like, you've got about 2 months to retire. I'm not saying that's the case, but that's what it feels like sometimes.
I think in a way, one of the very practical things that could be done is that those who basically colluded with this, who neglected their duties, there should be, even if they've retired, there's still the possibility of a financial penalty.
But also, Professor, isn't it important as well for the staff and management who may well have lost their jobs raising these issues or were bullied out of work, that said, look, something's going on here, you have to do something, right? Yeah. That the until someone or people are held responsible, it casts a shadow over lots of people that probably took this home with them and spoke to the partners and says, look, this is what's going on. I've done absolutely everything I can do. I know the guards have been contacted. It's up to other people to look after this. I can't do any more. And next thing you know, their lives are made difficult to work. It's important that people who are responsible are actually singled out, in fairness to the rest of the staff that probably went out of their way to try and highlight this.
Absolutely. I mean, failing to do this creates a disempowering, collusive situation. It also discourages any further attempt to basically raise your hand to say something wrong is going on. And you're driven to thinking maybe that is the point. The HSE do not want a culture where people are highlighting inadequacies in the service. And really, that is a problem. And I think, if people have retired, they cannot be, in a way, moved from their job, but they can have basically... they can be penalised, because even to reduce it to its lowest common denominator, this bill is going to end up at the taxpayer's door again, right? And these people who have who have devastated lives, who have disempowered their staff and the service, who have really undermined people's confidence in the system, in the whole ability to trust people to look after their loved ones. They're to be just, it's a systemic error.
And let me say in advance too, right, because this is very possible, because it happens all the time. if families take cases against the HSE, will they again frustrate them, spend millions upon millions of taxpayers' money contesting these cases only to settle them right at the last minute on the steps of the court? In other words, spend tens of millions frustrating the process, or will they put their hands up and say, you know, maybe they could do that by way of a redress scheme and say, well, obviously, you know, just one other point. I'll put it back to you, Micheal, because you raised the question about whistleblowers, and then I'll bring Rena back in here before we move on. You know, some of the greatest scandals of our time here, you know, like cervical check, that was exposed really because somebody spoke out. Problems in childcare facilities. Now, these are all arms of the state, not necessarily the HSE. Changes were only introduced there because of undercover investigation. You could say the same in nursing homes, and those are just the ones that are on the top of my head. It's almost like whack-a-mole. Instead of fixing the problems, right, it's when a problem is highlighted or they're embarrassed into doing something about it, that's when that gets an attention. I have no confidence that we are proactively seeking these issues out and resolving them. When was the last time the HSE come out of its own accord and said, we've identified this situation, this is what we've done, it's an absolute scandal, we can't allow it to happen again? It's always reactionary, Micheal, it seems. Now, there's probably examples out there that prove me wrong, but that's how it feels to me.
No, it is reactionary. I just want to, just quoting from the reports yesterday, said, the report says staff who met the review team described an environment where people were and are still fearful of coming forward. So you've got that talks to your point that there's a need. So people are genuinely afraid, but despite that, they still tried to raise this, and it was canned. So there's from as I said, there's a Harvard Business School report that came out just on the subject. It was highlighted in the Sunday Business Post last week. I don't know if you read it, but anyway, they're just saying that you need to provide financial protection around people and encourage whistleblowers. If we believe it's better that this information become public and that wrongs are righted, then we need to take steps to actually make sure. We all know that in organizations where somebody blows the whistle, the first thing happens is the organization tries to kick the rubbish out of them. They're financially imperiled. We know, like the Maurice McCabe story, the terrible, the nightmare he went through at that time. So the Harvard Business Report is saying these are the steps you can take as a government or a society to financially protect whistleblowers. It actually doesn't create more spurious whistleblowing. It creates a greater flow of information. And so I think that's a step that needs to be taken to make sure that people are doing nasty little stuff under the covers of darkness in organizations and public sector organizations, that they get flushed out. So I think that would be one thing we could do.
And Councillor Donaghey, you know, I mean, this obviously people are going to feel like, you know, is my person in care safe? And we hope in the majority, absolutely majority of cases they are. Are any other reports being suppressed? Any other issues being suppressed? You know, this type of case will shake people's faith in the broad servicing system, because it can't just be one. You know, that's what people would feel. It can't just be one shocking case that's being suppressed.
No, and I can only imagine that there will be a lot more cases raising their head from here on, as Micheal has said, in nursing homes and in other settings. But Greg, can I just say that if I was a classroom assistant in a school and I was minding a child and I had a problem with the teacher, or I had a problem and I brought it to the teacher, if the teacher brought that to the principal and the principal didn't act on it, the teacher has an obligation and an onus that she or he must themselves go and act on that. Why is that not right across the board? If that was the case, this would have been dealt with long ago, whereas the external management, the oversight and the powerlessness that the staff experienced, that is not the case in schools, and it should be right across the board.
Yeah, and why rather than go to someone further up the line and say this is what's happening? Like, what was the reason for it not being acted upon? What was the motivation?
The only thing I'd say,
why might that happen?
They say the Gardaí were informed in 2011, and I know the Gardaí are asking for a legal review, so we probably need to be careful there. So it appears that some staff did try and reach out. It's not, I mean, that to me, I haven't read the report in detail, but it seems that staff did try, both up through their line management and also outside the organisation, until eventually the whistleblower made their move in 2016. So I think actually the staff that made their best efforts to try and highlight this should be praised in some way and should be acknowledged because they've taken risks.
100%, Michael, and that's why I wanted to point out the fact that until such time as, you know, people are held responsible, it casts that shadow over everyone, when there's people probably were doing the job of whistleblower, thinking they were blowing a whistle to someone that would actually hear that whistle.
Yeah.
And in the end, they didn't have that protection and may indeed have lost their jobs. Listen, thank you very much for that. Those are the views so far of Professor Pat O'Connor, Councillor Rena Donaghey, and the latter voice you just heard there, Michael White. We'll be back with more from our panel on another issue after these messages.
The 9 till noon show, sponsored by McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny, with a great range of digital cameras, camcorders and binoculars for Christmas. McGee's, the photographic experts, where the best costs less.
At Cherrymore Kitchens and Bedrooms, we are now operating out of one new state-of-the-art showroom in Donegal Town. And we invite you to visit our new 5,000 square foot Donegal Town showroom to discover the latest eye-catching designs. Remember, at Cherrymore, you're dealing directly with the manufacturer, which means high-quality kitchens at factory prices. Start planning your dream kitchen or bedroom by calling Cherrymore on 074 9725 822. Cherrymore, 25 years delivering value, quality and service all over Ireland.
It's not just a sewing machine. For Maya, it's a chance to give her family a better life. It's not just a way to make a living. It's a chance to give her daughter an education. Like thousands of mothers, Maya lives in fear of what the future holds for her little girl. And it's not just. This Christmas, your love can make all the difference. Visit trocra.org or call 1850 408 408. Trocra, until love conquers fear.
Make this Christmas one of a kind with a gift from a talented craft maker. Whether it's a lovingly made bauble, stunning jewellery or keepsake from home, give a truly unique and handmade gift from makers across the Northwest. Check out the Butter Market in Enniskillen, Oma Craft Collective, Derry Craft Village and Studio One at the Alley Strabane. See craftni.org for these and more local and talented designer makers and make your Christmas list unique. Craft NI thanks Fermanagh and Oma District Council and Derry City and Strabane District Council for their support.
Make your next menswear choice at Watson Menswear Letterkenny. From suits to casual wear, there's big names like Rimassimo, Superdry, Penguin and Tommy Bow. If you're getting married, call in for an appointment and get fitted in style. That's Watson Menswear, open 7 days a week on Main Street in Letterkenny or online at watsonmenswear.com or follow on social media for more details on offers and new arrivals. Christmas Club now open.
Cases of COVID-19 are high, and we all know to stay safe by reducing contacts, getting vaccinated and boosted, wearing masks, keeping distance, opening windows, cleaning hands, and using antigen tests appropriately. Antigen tests are recommended for use if you are regularly socializing with people from other households, because many people who have COVID-19 show no symptoms. Antigen tests can help identify these hidden cases. Learn more at gov.ie/antigen tests. If you have symptoms, do not socialise. Stay at home, self-isolate, and get a PCR test. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Christmas is covered at Letterkenny Shopping Centre. Free parking, shopping and Santa under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
The time's literally just turned 9:30. The Cabinet will meet today to consider the latest advice from the National Public Health Emergency Team, NPHET, in response to the rise of the Omicron variant of coronavirus. NPHET has expressed exceptional concern about the impact of COVID-19 and the new variant in its latest advice to government. A 5 p.m. closing time for pubs and restaurants from next Monday has been recommended by the National Public Health Emergency Team, but it's expected that they're not going to offer any further advice as it relates to mixing in the home. 3 families plus the host would be okay, but you can't go out and sit at a table and have something to eat in the evening. Omicron accounting for a third of the cases, but still at the same time it's very transmissible. I'm not questioning any of this, by the way, but at this time it's not actually having a impact on figures. And of course the last modelling we had from NPHET, their most optimistic predictions as it relates to cases, I think they were talking about 13,000 cases a day for now. But we're down around 4, and hospitalisations and deaths well below their most optimistic of models. But their modelling, as it relates to Omicron, again, is relatively doomsday. I'll start with you, Councillor Rena Donaghey. I mean, if you impose a 5 p.m. curfew on pubs and restaurants, the majority of them in Donegal, I would say, certainly those that don't do food anyway, they're closed. That's it. They're closed for Christmas again. God knows how long into January. It's certainly a lockdown by another name. But maybe that's an appropriate response. NPHET are looking into their crystal ball and are fearful. Rena.
Yeah, well, there is a cabinet meeting today, and we'll hear then exactly what comes out of that. There is exponential growth, as we know. Time is of the essence.
Not here, though.
Yeah, well, we are told that a tidal wave is coming, and that this is far, far more transmissible than the Delta variant, and that we need the usual strict hygiene, washing the hands, wearing masks, doing the antigen tests, if going to gatherings or whatever. Building capacity in hospitals, of course, is paramount.
Do you think? Yeah, of course, but that's not going to happen because they've had 2 years to do that and they haven't done it. So there's no chance of them doing that by the end of December. Do you think closing pubs and restaurants, reducing occupancy at live venues at this time is an appropriate response? Would you be in favour of that?
Well, no, I would have thought that this. I would have thought this would have came after Christmas rather than before Christmas. But we are told, and they have told us, that time is of the essence. They said that last year we didn't close until after Christmas, and the horse had bolted. So many people I know are coming home for Christmas, and it's great to see these people coming home as well. But I know it will be the death knell for some by closing at 5.
But just in terms of that logic, right? Because you know what's going to happen. That it's expected that they might not make any further recommendations as it relates to household mixing at Christmas time. People coming from all over the place, probably many from Britain, where Omicron is rife at the moment, mixing in homes, 3 or 4 families together. Would a pub restaurant environment not be safer? Where there are rules and regulations as it relates to vaccinated, unvaccinated, or whatever it might be, would that not be a safer environment to have people socialising than the inevitable get-togethers at home?
Well, I did think that the home visits that there would have been something new coming from that as well. But no, I do believe that this is a very evolving situation. It's constantly evolving. It's a very fluid situation, and the messages have to change regularly. Yes, I know it's going to be very, very tough because hoteliers and the hospitality sector is what has been hit the hardest from day one. They really have. And I know that there are some of them that probably won't make it through this and won't open again. And it definitely is very tough. But this is a rapidly spreading variant as well.
Okay. What do you think, Professor Pat O'Connor?
Well, I have several thoughts, not all of them connected. I suppose the first thing, I do think that this has been, our main weapon has been boosters, right? And in my opinion, the HSE has completely mismanaged the booster situation. We've known since November the 14th that this variant was on the way. The HSE spent 2 weeks talking about vaccine hesitancy. Now, everybody that I know saw no hesitancy, but it wasn't until the queues outside UCD were filmed that the whistle was blown, continuing the first topic. And basically, it then emerged that really the HSE system was not wired into the GP and the pharmacies. And in fact, a lot of people were unable to, if they had already got a vaccine, they were unable to let the HSE know. There was, in my opinion...
And also put into that, if you don't mind, and I hope I'm not breaking your train of thought, that Micheal Martin took to his feet in the Dáil and effectively blamed the public for not turning up.
But Micheal Martin, I'm absolutely sure, was briefed. Micheal Martin didn't roll out of bed. knowing those figures, right? He actually gave the figures and it was half of the appointments were not being used. All those appointments could have vaccinated tranches of people. The second problem is that the HSE has, even yesterday, which was their highest figure of booster vaccinations, they still was 55,000. During the summer, they were doing 400,000 a week. So basically, they have not got the pace up from November the 14th. So we're in the situation we're in now, where, for example, parents of small children in their 40s who are expecting to host their own parents, intergenerational whatever, are not getting appointments for vaccines until Stevens's Day. Well, everybody knows that the two key days for family mixing are Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So, and the justification offered by successive ministers is that we're doing well by comparison with other EU countries. The point is, we're not in a race with other EU countries, some of whom, like France, have closed down travel between the UK and France. We're in a race with Omicron. Yeah. So I'm extremely critical that HSE has got us into this bind, this fix where we seem to be facing a disaster. My second point, though, is I am puzzled, right? Because we have been told by the CMO that there's 27% of the new cases are Omicron. And we know from South Africa that Omicron is highly contagious, etc., etc. But our hospitalisation numbers are falling slightly.
Well, there's a lag there, though, in fairness, Pat. You know, I think it's 10 days after infection is when you start sort of seeing hospitalisations.
That's true, but we're pretty well we should have seen them rising if they were going to be that dramatic, because it's now almost 10 days. So in a way, I'm a little bit puzzled about that.
Also, too, I mean, are we satisfied that they are looking at the South African situation, though it's apples and oranges because of, you know, there's been a high rate of natural infection there and all that kind of stuff. But their hospitalisation is something around about 92% below in this wave, their worst wave. You know what I mean?
But I mean, in a way, the problem with the South African comparison is that they're mostly younger, right? And their population, their average age.
But they're only a quarter of them are vaccinated.
Exactly. But my third point, which is a kind of a riot, are we dealing with a vampire or a variant, right? Like this business of focusing on 5 o'clock, you know, is to me totally mad. You know, the vampire comes out at 5 o'clock.
But you see, this is the problem, Pat, because you're closing businesses effectively, right? But it's not a lockdown, so a lot of the supports and other measures aren't kicked in. So you're saying you can open, but really it's not practical to open. So in other words, all the supports that were there through actual lockdowns are not there. I mean, that would, though, mean that NPHET and the government are working together on that, and surely that couldn't be the case.
No, but I mean, scientifically and logically, it is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, and I heard it being discussed just on the news, the possible rescheduling of one of the major sports fixtures, which was due to start at 7:30, and they're thinking, could they hold it in the afternoon?
Well, they've done that with the nightclubs. They tried to close the nightclubs, and the nightclubs ran from 8 till 12.
Exactly. But, I mean, in a way, in relation to that, by the way, talking about 5,000 people, for example, reducing Leopardstown or the rugby fixtures to 50% because it's out of doors. Well, hello, those 5,000 people are not going to go to the toilet at all.
Michael,
so are they going to go to the toilet out of doors? So really saying things are out of doors is quite ridiculous, since the people are going to have to go indoors to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
So really, the whole thing is absolutely, you know.
And you know, you could say, Michael, you could say a lot of the decisions have led us to where we are. This denial And it felt like we were being gaslighted, you know, because they were saying to us, it's not spreading in schools. We all knew it was spreading in schools, right? We knew that. Anyone who is connected with a school knew that this was spreading in schools. And we heard from a Buncrana GP yesterday who said it clearly, it's spreading in schools. Students are taking it back and infecting their families. We knew that all along. But they said, no, schools are safe. Then they said, no, schools are safer. But in between those two things, they withdrew contact tracing from school, allowing this to spread to get us this high level that we're at now. And then rather than saying, you know, and I know it would inconvenience some parents, guardians and caregivers out there, they could have closed the schools a little bit earlier, maybe, you know, the 10 days before Christmas to protect the older relations. They chose not to do that, but instead they've decided now in Christmas week, when people have staff parties and stuff organised, they've decided to cut it down to 5. And as Pat has mentioned there, what are you going to do? You're going to have your staff party between 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. That is what you're going to do. Go ahead.
I do think that it would be really quite ridiculous closing schools when basically adults can go out to the pub. Like, in a way, that's all of it.
I get you, but not everyone would do that.
You also have to recognise that we're not in the 1970s when 7% of married women were in paid work. We're now in a period where a huge proportion of women with children are in paid work. And the question, many of those women working in the health services, and the question is, who is minding the children?
Granny and Grandad, probably.
Well, Granny and Grandad, who
are probably vulnerable.
And they're boosters.
Exactly. And I was agreeing with you there. But Michael, bringing you in on this conversation, you know, what say you? I mean, obviously tough decisions have to be made, but the dots have to be joined a little bit for us, don't they? And I just don't feel that they're joined up at all.
Yeah, there's a few things. So we're in this kind of loop, and it's not just us in this kind of loop. So there's a loop is that we had the relaxation of restrictions, a new variant has appeared. I agree totally that there's a messing around where the boosters should have been introduced but weren't. The new variant has a rapid spread, so restrictions are now reimposed. This has a knock-on effect on the economy and has a big effect on people and kids. Case numbers hopefully will start to fall, and then potentially we're back at the same cycle again in the new year. We've had
Let me ask
already.
You that before you go on to your broader points, okay? The function of a lockdown doesn't prevent one death by itself, does not prevent any illness by itself, because effectively you open up and it passes through eventually. You delay it, right? The logic last year was to shut things down to allow for the rollout of the vaccination program, okay? What would be the logic of a lockdown this time, just to kick it into the new year? Because if they do, then that's January, February and March out the window as well.
Before I get, so my broader point isn't that I don't think there's going to be a full lockdown. And yes, the reason last year was to allow time for the vaccination. The reason for the restrictions now is that there's not one massive hit on the health service at once. The projections are it's very unclear what Omicron's actually what its impact will be. They're putting in these restrictions to try and make sure there's not one big massive hit. My broader point is, though, while they week by week may be unpredictable, the general trend of what's happening now is predictable. I wouldn't have said that at the start of this year, but now we can sort of see there's potentially this cycle, and where we're going to have some variants. There's going to be reactions. We need a structure. All of us need a sort of a longer term plan that stretches out over 2022, so we have an idea of what's happening, and it needs to start getting better. We need to see that there's a route towards a journey towards normality. And one of the points that's been made in a couple of newspapers that I think is really important to make is that this variant and the other variants that have come out of the same kinds of places. They've come out of countries where less than 40% of the population is vaccinated. In South Africa, 40% of the population is vaccinated. A chunk of the population has already been infected, and that's like a laboratory for new variants. But in other places, I used to work in Malawi in Africa. In Malawi, 3% of the population are fully vaccinated. In Tanzania and Nigeria, it's 4%. The point there is we're creating these laboratories of variants that will as night follows day, there's going to be more variants January, February, March. It's only a matter of time until one of them is bad enough and starts to race across the world. So my number one point would be we, Ireland and Europe, need to get much more serious about making sure those countries get properly vaccinated, because if they don't, something really bad is going to come out of there in the next 12 months. And that's not, that's as I say, as night follows day. So that's number one thing I would suggest we all get our act together on. Second thing is we have these new antiviral drugs coming in February. That should help to move us a bit of this loop that we're currently in. But overall,
because the antiviral drugs have broad defenses in preventing hospitalization.
Yeah,
they aren't as impacted by variants as vaccines are.
if you catch it, it should help to reduce the chances you get very ill or die from it. So it's in addition to the vaccine, it's also an opportunity to make sure that, again, the minority of the population, most of the population that get this don't get very sick. The 20% that are at risk, the pill and the vaccination. So that starts to head us into a direction where it starts to get better. Also, people like Luke O'Neill are saying that this pattern of the variants where they become more contagious but less lethal is the way the Spanish influenza worked out as well. So that's all positive.
Well, Luke O'Neill changes his opinion quite a bit, but
yeah. Well, I guess what I'm saying is that we know what's happening, and we're now in a position, I think, for the first time to start laying out a plan in 2022 that would say that we don't have to have these lurches from opening up to really severe lockdown.
But do you believe that the government? I mean, the government will follow NPHET advice. They're not going to roll the dice on that one. Do you think, unless I'm wrong, do you think it's right to close at 5? Can you see the logic? Schools open until Wednesday, more mixing in houses, people still flying in from wherever they are, and it's fantastic, by the way. I'm not opposed to any of that as such, and mixing and seeing each other for the first time. But at the same time, pubs and restaurants are closed at 5. Do you see the logic in that for you to comply, for you to sort of go, right, I understand that, right? I can go with that.
I guess like everybody, yes, no. Some of the stuff, I mean, my understanding of why they're trying to keep the schools open is to make sure there's not any issue with reopening the schools in January. And as a parent, all of us want our kids to be back in school. The kids like being back in school, and we don't want anything that risks them going back to school after Christmas. The 5 p.m. closing, I'm not familiar with what the analysis is by the NPHET, why they think that's a good idea. I guess it's because large groups of adults banging around together drunk is probably not a great idea in the middle of a pandemic. So I imagine that's the reason they're doing this. It strikes me as odd. The travel thing as well.
But that means the vaccination and COVID certs has failed then, because that was the pathway back to socialisation. So that's clearly
well, no,
failed, hasn't it?
I don't think it's failed. I think the reason people aren't getting as sick at the same rates is because the vaccinations work.
No, I'm not questioning the vaccines, but I'm on about, in terms of us getting back to a normal society. Well, the vaccines have done an amazing job in reducing serious illness and death. No, but I don't think it's failed.
I think getting back to my point, this variant has come out that's highly contagious, and they're putting in these restrictions just to avoid a major surge at the same time hitting the health service. So that's why they're doing it, I guess.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is that we need a plan to make sure that this doesn't have to happen the next time there's a variant. It should be avoidable going forward. As Pat said, for example, the boosters should have been rolled out as soon as we knew the Israelis were doing it. They're with great success. The boosters could have been rolled out here much earlier, like a month and a half earlier than they were. Do we need to then plan for that?
Well, you see, you can't have it both ways, because at the same time we were discussing whether or not to give boosters, the WHO was saying don't be giving boosters to your population because those injections need to go to the countries that are lower vaccinated. So but it's not an either. You can't have it both. You can't ride both horses.
But you kind of can now. The production volumes are high enough where you can have both. There's plants being opened in continental Africa now, so we can have both. We can have a booster program, and we can also. I mean, the priority I think should be making sure that the populations in sub-Saharan Africa get vaccinated much faster than they are, or else it's going to store up trouble for us going forward.
Right, listen, thanks for that. That's the voice of Michael White. You're hearing from Rena Donaghey and Councillor Rena Donaghey and Professor Pat O'Connor. More from them after these.
The 9 till noon show, sponsored by McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. See all the magic of Christmas with McGee's online photo lab, open 24/7, delivered to your door or collect in store.
If you're aged 50 or over, it's time for your COVID-19 vaccine booster. Without one, you're more at risk of serious illness from COVID-19. Your booster will give you the best possible protection. When your booster is due, the HSE will send your appointment by text message. People in this group can also come to a walk-in vaccination clinic or contact a participating pharmacy or GP. Visit hse.ie for clinic times and locations near you. From the HSE.
Give the gift of sport from Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny. Brooks Footwear, the brand that fits your feet. The perfect Christmas gift. Look the part, play the part. Click bmcsports.ie. Every home needs that something special. At Max Light Lighting, that's exactly what we can do for your home. High quality, stylish interior lighting and illuminated mirrors at exceptional value. See maxlight.ie or call into Callahan Electrical in Letterkenny Retail Park and see a selection of our lights that will give your home that wow factor.
Looking for the perfect stocking filler this Christmas? You'll be spoiled for choice with a full-side gift card from fashion to food and everything in between. With over 50 stores to choose from, take the stress out of Christmas and give the gift of choice. Foilside, we have it all wrapped up. Purchase your gift card on level 3 or online at foilside.co.uk.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Attention farmers. With the recent focus on climate change and the likelihood of extreme weather events over the coming weeks and months, Donegal County Council would like to remind farmers of the importance of protecting water courses during this busy time in the farmyard. Keep a regular check on gutters and downpipes to minimise soiled water and make sure all silage effluent is collected by keeping channels clean. Elsewhere on the farm, prevent sediment from yards, roadways or the poaching of land by outwintered stock making its way into drains and streams. Clean water is a scarce and valuable resource for all. Donegal County Council, protecting its environment.
The countdown is on. Are you in Highland Radio's biggest ever competition? Have you bought that lucky ticket? Well, there's only 6 days to buy your tickets and be in with a chance of winning a brand new Kia Exceed worth over €28,000. And there's 5 chances to win €1,000 in cash this Christmas on Highland Radio. Visit highlandradio.com and click on Win a Car. Entries close at midnight on the 22nd of December.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show. Before we move on, Councillor Rena Donaghey, I mean, you know, it's shocking, isn't it, that we're so far into this, and 400 people in hospital with COVID, that it is having such an impact on our health service, isn't it? You know, that we're seeing operations cancelled and all manner of stuff, having to use private hospitals. I mean, the hospitals should be in a better state to handle this than they are, because if we had more capacity, we probably wouldn't be having an awful lot of these conversations. Now, obviously, there has to be a ceiling that you try and avoid, but it's terrible indictment, isn't it?
Yeah, we absolutely need more capacity, and the recruitment of staff. We're told that the recruitment of staff is a huge problem. An awful lot of staff have already been affected by the virus and are off. A lot of people were so annoyed and sickened with what they had to go through in the last 2 years that some of them even gave up. So we absolutely need more capacity. Yeah, and the staff, there needs to be serious action taken on recruiting staff and recruiting properly and ensuring that we can get staff. That other operations and surgeries that have been planned are not put off on the long finger the way they are being doing. And I mean, appointments now, some appointments have grown to maybe 15, 18 months. So there definitely needs to be changes there.
Yeah, all right. Professor O'Connor, I mean, if it's a case that it's difficult to attract here, you change your terms and conditions to try and make yourself more attractive to employ staff. I don't know.
It's
simple.
Well, exactly. And some countries are increasing the salaries of nursing and caring staff. I mean, if I had a penny for every time I heard people say that they had to pay top dollar to IT specialists, right? I mean, I'd be a very rich woman, but there seems to be no recognition that really frontline nursing and care staff are critical, and they are not paid appropriately. And by the way, I mean, the closing schools or children being COVID close contacts, there is no backup for people in the health service who are predominantly women. And like, if you have a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old and your husband is full-time away at work, what are you supposed to do?
Look at NPHET and see how representative that is in terms of gender of society, and maybe you start to get to the bottom. But I'd be astonished if schools open on time in January, to be honest with you, because I know teachers are incredibly fearful of Omicron, which will be, whether people get sick or not, hopefully they don't in great numbers, but people will catch it, people will be off work, and teachers are very, very worried about January. And I just get a sense that over the next 2 weeks, the conversation will move to remote learning, at least for the month of, for a couple of weeks in January. But you're shaking your head, Pat.
Yes, I mean, I think
I believe it will happen, whether we agree with it or not.
Yeah, well, it's a disaster for the children, especially for disadvantaged children or children with special needs. And ultimately, it's a disaster for our health service, because there will be a load of people who childcare.
Well,
And
it doesn't
the
help.
government
It doesn't
are
help.
different.
It doesn't help our health system when GPs are involved in the vaccination process, but you're told not to ring your GP and you're told not to go to your GP until you're very sick. So what are you going to do? You're not going to sit at home stewing over the weekend. You go straight down to the ED because you'll get seen there. Michael, the last minute to you in terms of, our investment to try and improve capacity. You're a member of a government party that failed miserably, haven't they?
I don't think the country as a whole has failed miserably. I think we're in the middle
government,
of...
I said, in terms of trying to increase our hospital capacity. We've done fantastic.
The country has got a really low capacity of hospital beds compared to other European countries. That needs to be fixed. So I'm not defending that, but that's been a problem that's gone on for 10 years. I think in terms of the schools should reopen. I'm hoping that if the booster program gets rolled out fast enough and the Omicron outcome is not as bad as they hope, then I expect and really want the schools to open in January. I think it's enough's enough. There's 16-year-old kids, there's little kids that haven't had birthdays. There are 16-year-old kids that have never gone out, they haven't socialized before. This has to stop. We need a plan for 2022 where we do get back to some normality, and I think it's possible.
No, I hear that, and I think that makes an awful lot of sense. Michael, thank you very much for your time this morning. It's always a pleasure to have you on. Councillor Rena, Donaghey, it's great for you to join us as well. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Last but certainly not least, Professor Pat O'Connor, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank
you very much.
Have a lovely Friday and a lovely Christmas, all of you, in case I don't
Happy Christmas, Chris.
In case I don't speak to you before then. Okay, right, we'll be back. I think it's with the weather before the news. Stay where you are.
Gift sets by celebrity, by budget, or from the classic collection at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For the perfect present every time. Visit mcgees.ie, sponsors of the 9 till noon show.
That magical time of year once more, with mince pies and pudding and treats galore, taking pride of place by the twinkling tree. All you need to know about the season's TV. A world of entertainment wrapped up inside. Christmas begins with the RTE Guide.
Hi, Mary Ford here. If you're thinking of upgrading your car, borrow from Letterkenny Credit Union. Our loans have a competitive rate of interest, free life insurance, no hidden extras or deposit, and a speedy decision. Remember, you own the car. There is no mileage constraints with a loan from Letterkenny Credit Union. Online application, collection, and transfer to your current account now available. Apply via our app or in our office today. Loans are subject to approval. Terms and conditions apply. Letterkenny Credit Union is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Candles, lanterns, Christmas tree, decorations, elf on the shelf and all types of lights. It's everything you need for Christmas. Experience the magic of Christmas at Cooney's Letterkenny. Our biggest and best ever Christmas shop is open 7 days with unbeatable value on lights, trees and accessories. There's something for everyone this Christmas at Cooney's Letterkenny Retail Park.
It's amazing what you'll find for Christmas at Watson Hire in Letterkenny. For a DIYer or someone in the building or motor trade, there's guaranteed to be something to suit. Hand and power tools from all the top names at great prices. Work clothing, work boots and much more. Present ideas from as little as €5 with gift vouchers also available. Visit Watson Hire this Christmas at Kiltoy, Letterkenny or at watsonhire.ie. Open 7 days a week with free parking at the door.
Castle Cycles Raffle for sales and repairs. Stocking bikes for all ages. Get up to 50% tax relief from the Cycle to Work scheme. Christmas Club now open. Call Castle Cycles Raffle on 074 9145 185 for more details.
Millionaire Raffle from the National Lottery is back, with 1 millionaire guaranteed and over €4.8 million in cash prizes to be won. It's the biggest ever. The draw takes place on New Year's Eve and tickets are limited, so pick up yours today. The National Lottery, it could be you. Gift responsibly.
Downeeds are 1 win away from provincial glory. The Donegal champions play Den from Cavan in the Ulster Junior Football Final this Sunday. Join us for live match commentary from the 1 p.m. throw-in in Clonus in association with Boyce's Centra stores Fulcara, Dunfanaghy and Carrigart. Boyce's Centra. Shop local, support local.
Whatever the weather this December, Letterkenny will bring a warm front to your shopping and great value for your pocket. Highland Weather Forecast, brought to you by Shop LK.
Today will be dry and mostly cloudy with occasional periods of sunshine. Highest temperatures of 7 to 10 degrees in light to moderate southeast breezes. I'm speaking over the jingle. You know what it is. Donald's on his way with the news.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. It is 10 o'clock. Donald Kavanagh at the news desk. Pubs and restaurants may be forced to close from 5 p.m. in the run-up to Christmas. NPHET has made a series of recommendations to government in a bid to slow the spread of the Omicron variant of COVID-19. Cinemas, theatres and sporting events will also have to close at 5 and be capped at 50% capacity if the NPHET recommendations are implemented. Cabinet ministers are considering them today. A subcommittee meets at lunchtime, followed by a full cabinet meeting in the afternoon. The HSE CEO Paul Reid says the cabinet has difficult decisions to make.
But the decisions that have to be made by government, nobody would envy. And again, I bring it back to what I've responsibility for, duty of care. And every day I wake up, I think of our staff, I think of their impact, I think of them going into Christmas. I think of many of the nurses who went home last Christmas not knowing what was ahead of them, and then they came back to one of the darkest Januaries which they probably face in their careers.
The chair of the Green Party in Donegal says he fears a major scandal will develop in nursing care homes over the next number of years. Commenting on the publication yesterday of the executive summary of the Brandon report, Michael White said the pattern of what happened in terms of staff members reporting abuses and then higher level managers failing to address their concerns is a pattern that's been seen before.
There's a pattern here. If you look at the pattern of a perpetrator, the line managers not paying attention, and then the first recourse is to move them around. That sounds a lot like what happens to children in the Catholic Church and parish priests being moved around. We've seen this pattern before. Who normally gets affected? It's the most vulnerable. So in the case of the church, it was kids who didn't have parents, or parents were divorced, or were marginalised. Here we're talking about adults that are intellectually disabled. My guess is the next most at-risk people, just on top of my head, is that people in old people's homes. I think the way that's structured in Ireland, there's going to be a scandal there in the next 10 years' time too, because it's a for-profit industry that really shouldn't be for-profit.
And it was Michael White speaking on the 9 till noon show, and there will be a representative of the HSE discussing the Brandon report with Greg shortly after this bulletin. Permanent TSB is to buy €7.6 billion worth of assets from Ulster Bank. It includes performing non-tracker mortgages as well as performing SME loans and Ulster Bank's Lombard asset finance business. 25 Ulster Bank branches are also part of the deal. Roughly 450 employees in them will be able to transfer. The sale is part of Ulster Bank's plan to withdraw from the Irish market in the coming years. An enhanced accessible toilet and changing facility is to be developed in Letterkenny after Donegal County Council secured a €75,000 allocation under the Disability Participation and Awareness Programme. The bulk of that money will go toward a Changing Places unit. The unit will serve people with complex needs. Councillor Jimmy Kavanagh is Mayor of the Letterkenny Milford Municipal District and a disability campaigner. He says work should start on the project in the new year.
In terms of timeline now on it, the grant runs from April 2022 until March 2023. So the work has to start by April next year and has to be finished by March the following year. Hopefully, if we can, find a suitable location now, get it started in April, we should have it, and ready for the summer of next year.
A staff member has been left badly shaken after an armed robbery at a shop on Derry's Northland Avenue last evening. With more detail, here's Trish Laverty.
Two men, both armed with knives and wearing balaclavas, entered the shop at around 7:50 p.m. and threatened a female staff member before making off with a quantity of cigarettes, a sum of cash and a mobile phone belonging to the staff member. The first man was around 5 feet 10 inches tall, of stocky build and wearing a grey jumper, dark blue track bottoms and blue and black Nike trainers. The second man was around 5 feet 7 inches tall, of slim build and wearing a black coat and black leggings. The staff member was not physically injured as a result of the incident but was left badly shaken. Police have launched an investigation and anyone with information is asked to contact detectives at Strand Road PSNI station.
Weather forecast, Met Éireann tell us it will be dry and mostly cloudy today with occasional periods of sunshine into the afternoon. Highest temperatures of 7 or 8 degrees Celsius in light to moderate southeast breezes. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Good morning. The obituary notices for this Friday morning, the 17th of December. The death has taken place of Bridget McGuinness, Dunroman, Carol Naff, Moville. Bridget's remains will repose at Liam Collins' funeral premises from 6 o'clock this evening and on to St Pius X Church, Moville, for 7:15 to repose overnight. Bridget's funeral mass will take place tomorrow afternoon at 2, with burial afterwards in Ballybrack Cemetery. Funeral mass can be viewed live on movilleparish.com. The death has taken place of Paddy P.K. Kerrigan, 29, Mount Sion Strabane and formerly of Newton Stewart. Funeral from his home tomorrow morning at 9:20 for Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Melmont at 10 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to Marie Curie, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. The house is private to family and friends only, please. Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the parish webcam. The death has occurred of Leo Tuffy, Ellabeg Burnfoot and formerly of Lacken and Escrone, County Sligo. Removal from his home tomorrow at 10:15 to St Angus's Church, Burt, for Requiem Mass at 11 o'clock, with interment afterwards in Burt Cemetery. Leo's Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, please. The death has occurred of James McGee, Capri, Ballabafay. James's remains are reposing at his late residence with family, neighbours and friends welcome. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. Requiem Mass in the Church of Mary Immaculate Strunorer tomorrow morning at 11, with burial afterwards in Drumbo Cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to the Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. Funeral Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of Miss Tracy Galbraith, Ardmullen Convoy. Her remains are reposing at her late parents' residence at Milltown Convoy. Funeral from there tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 for funeral service in St Ninian's Parish Church Convoy at 2 o'clock, with burial afterwards in the family plot in the adjoining graveyard. Family, friends and neighbours welcome at the wake and funeral. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to St Ninian's Parish Church, care of Gibson Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of Pierce Callahan, Montglass, Newton Cunningham. His remains are reposing at his late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning for 11 o'clock Mass in All Saints Church, Newton Cunningham, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral Mass can be viewed on newtoncalais.parish.com. Family time, please, from 10 p.m. Tonight, family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu, if desired, to the Friends of Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. The death has occurred of Eddie Farragallon, Navanny Street, Ballabafay. Funeral from his late residence tomorrow afternoon at 2 for Requiem Mass at 2 o'clock in the Church of Mary Immaculate, Strunorer, with interment afterwards in St Mary's Churchyard, Sesha O'Neill. Requiem Mass will be streamed live on churchservices.tv. The death has taken place of Mervyn Kirkland, Trev Nakilya, Moville. Wake is private, please. Funeral service on tomorrow Saturday at 12 noon in St Colum's Church of Ireland, Moville, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. The death has taken place of Olive McCobb, Woodlands, Rufo. Funeral from Gibson's Funeral Home Convoy this afternoon at 1:15 for service in Ballylennon Presbyterian Church at 2 o'clock, followed by burial in the family plot in the adjoining churchyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice, care of any family member or Ernie Gibson, Funeral Director. Wake and funeral are private to family, close friends and neighbours, please. And the death has taken place of Sadie Doherty, Rathmullen. Funeral today in St Joseph's Church, Rathmullen, with Requiem Mass at 11, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed on mcnmedia.tv. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
And you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Right, lots to come on the programme. In the next hour, we are going to be speaking to the HSE about the publication of the Brandon report, the key findings of it, not the full report, of course, to see what they have to say on it. And also, too, on a much light, in fact, I'm not going to mention the other thing because it would, one so serious, the other just wouldn't be appropriate to mention one after the other. So what I'll do, I'll tell you about that after we take this short break. Stay right where you are. A busy couple of hours on the way.
Gift sets by celebrity, by budget, or from the classic collection at McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For the perfect present every time. Visit mcgees.ie, sponsors of the 9 till noon show.
On this week's Business Matters, I'll be talking to co-owner of the Key West restaurant in Donegal town, Joe Daly, and the no-based mechanical services contractor, Adrian Sweeney, who's also owner of Sweeney's Home Value in Lettermecca Ward and Sweeney's Plumbing and Hardware in Derrybeg. So join me, Kieran O'Donnell, for Business Matters on Sunday evening after the 6 o'clock news. The Business Matters podcast is also available to download at highlandradio.com.
Business Matters in association with Letterkenny IT's Faculty of Business. Applications are now open for the highly regarded Masters in Leadership and Innovation in the public sector. Also a Masters in Governance, Compliance and Data Protection in Financial Services. And a certificate in Online Dispute Management. Visit lyit.ie for more information.
Winter, cold nights, wet mornings, ice. More reason to change your tyres. At Sheehan Duffy Tyres, we have a large range of winter and all-season tyres to suit all cars and budgets. Sheehan Duffy Tyres Ballybuffet, keeping you safe this winter. Open 6 days per week with a 24-hour emergency call-out service.
Store and Go Springtown Dairy, the north of Ireland's only temperature-controlled smart access individually sized storage units.
Store and Go offers storage for personal storage, house moves and renovations, business storage for excess stock or filing systems. Once signed up, you can access 24 hours a day through an app on your phone, gaining access through 4 levels of security to your most precious possessions.
Call Store and Go Springtown Dairy on 02871 278 900 to discuss your needs and get bespoke advice, or get a free quote at storeandgo.net.
Is your water safe to drink? If your water tastes unpleasant or has a foul smell, it may be a sign that something is in your water. Brothers Tech Donegal provide a complete private well water treatment service using the best water treatment equipment to meet your needs. Or maybe you drilled a new well and the water isn't satisfactory. At Brothers Tech, their expert team will also service existing problematic systems. If you're concerned about the quality of your water, call Brothers Tech on 087 638 7057.
Open up your weekend with the Irish Independent on Saturday. 25 years after her murder, what do we know about the woman at the centre of one of Ireland's great unsolved crimes? In review, with an in-depth portrait of her life, we go in search of the real Sophie Toscan de Plantier. In Weekend, enjoy the 50 good news stories of the year. Plus, our writers try out some festive jobs. Find your escape this weekend with the Irish Independent on Saturday. Up close and independent.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. And we're joined in studio now by Katie. Katie, how are you?
I'm very
Looking
well.
very festive as well.
Well, I made the effort.
I recognise that jumper from last year.
Oh, well, there you go now.
Exactly, you didn't throw the iron over it last year either.
I was too cheap to go out and get a new one.
Caroline says I should wear a Christmas jumper every day next week, but I've only got 2.
Okay.
Right? And she said, but you have a washing machine, don't you, right? You can wear a jumper multiple times without washing it, can't you?
Well, it depends how
What about
long
jeans?
you're wearing it for.
What about, because then we had the conversation about jeans, right? And I said, well, you can get 2 or 3 days out of a shirt or a t-shirt. You have to wash them every day, but jeans are every couple of days, aren't
Well, now you have a baby,
That's quite
and
correct.
I have experience with this. Generally, you have to change about 2 or 3 times a day.
Okay, now obviously if there's a particular stain on them, that's different. But are you going to give an opinion? Can you get 2 or 3 days out of a pair of jeans, or do they need to be washed every day?
I definitely would not wear jeans for 3 days in a row. But
No.
that's just
I'm not saying I would either. I'm not saying I would either, but
Yep, I
wait,
hear what you're saying.
60, 25,000. Do jeans have to be washed after every wear? Does a jumper have to be washed after every wear? Or is it just t-shirt, shirts and undies?
Undies.
Although you could get 2 or 3 days.
Oh, Lord, let's not go
Okay,
there.
right. Now, you are in here with the very serious business of a prize. Tell us what the prize is, because it's about the bingo books, the non-winning bingo books.
Yeah. The only time I see you, Greg, is when I'm giving away stuff. So this is a good day for me.
Yeah.
We're giving away a €400 Maldron hotel group voucher. And this is for everybody who sent in their non-winning books for weeks 47, 48 and 49. And again, thanks very much to everybody who did so, and to all the bingo players in 2021. It was another great successful year for the charity, in spite of a tough year with everything going on.
And as we've heard from them on a number of occasions, this is one of their core fundraising efforts. So really that's what it's all about. The winning is a bonus, but it's really helping them out for their to help them deliver their core services.
Absolutely it is. And I don't think anyone really realises how much their contribution really means. We can't really state it enough that it is one of their core their core methods of getting money in the door. So no, it is. It's really appreciated for anybody who does take part.
Right, you've a box there beside you, right?
I do.
And I know I'm going to say dig deep, but I feel sorry for all those people that are sitting along the top.
Do you know,
but we have to dig deep. But you know,
I will give it a shake, right? So that everybody gets a fair go in life. So let's just do it. So we'll do that first.
All right, then. So, Katie, now you can watch this on Facebook if you want to. Unfortunately, because of the camera angle, we can see that you didn't bother putting wrapping paper on the inside of the box.
Sorry.
Next year, we promise to. We promise to.
We'll go all the way.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay, that'll do. Go in.
Okay, I have one here.
Excellent. Right? Exciting.
It's for week 48.
Tell me the names on it, please.
The name is we have a name. This is going better than it was the last time. Anyway, Sean Barr from Manor Cunningham.
Sean Barr from Manor Cunningham, congratulations. You've won a €400 voucher for the Mandarin Hotels, is it?
No, Maldron Hotel Group, yeah.
And you can go on to the website, search Maldron Hotels, and you can check more out from that hotel group. It's 4 or 5 stars across Ireland and Britain.
3 to 4 stars, I believe.
Across Ireland and Britain.
And hundreds of hotel options there as well. And with €400, I'm sure you'll get a couple of breaks out of that.
100%. So who's the winner again?
It is it's Mr. Sean Barr from Manor Cunningham.
Well done to you, Sean. Thank you very much for entering. Now the bingo continues.
It does.
The books are €5. So it's €1 a day to play, and the jackpot, do we know what it is off the top of your head? I don't want to put you on the spot.
Off the top of my head, I think next Thursday it's 7,400, and it's just worth mentioning as well, we are doing the bingo next week from Monday to Friday, Christmas week from the 27th to the 31st of December. The bingo is taking a break, so there's no bingo that week, but we will be resuming it on the 3rd of January on week 1 for 2022.
And the jackpot's fantastic. The cash prizes, they are there every single day as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay.
Listen, Katie, congratulations to your winner, and thank you very much. The Christmas jumper is lovely, by the way. I'm actually kind of jealous because I'm getting pictures of people in Christmas jumpers, and I feel like Scrooge.
Away to Pennies you go.
Pennies,
on your lunch
Duns,
or Duns or anywhere in the town. Just make sure you shop local.
Listen, thanks, Katie.
No
lovely stuff. Well done. All right, then. So there is the matter of can you win today? Here are the numbers. Good luck if you are playing.
It's time for Ncbi Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Friday, the 17th of December. You're playing on the yellow sheet. The reference number is S10. It's game number 50. The numbers are 69, 75, 58, 83, 63, 35, 36, 70, 29, and finally 24. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Think outside the box with your photos this Christmas for canvas prints, mugs and calendars at mcgee's.ie. McGee's Chemist Letterkenny, sponsors of the 9 till noon show.
Make everyone's Christmas merry and bright with the perfect gift. At Ncbi, we have a few bright ideas of our own to help you make this Christmas truly special. From iPad to AirPods, Apple Watch to MacBook, we have all the latest from Apple and the expertise to make sure you choose a gift they'll never forget. When you think Apple, think Ncbi, your local Apple expert. Visit your local store or Ncbi.com.
Christmas is the season of giving, but it can be difficult to know who on your list wants what. Save yourself the guesswork by giving the gift of choice. Whether you're buying for the foodie, fashionista or homebird of the family, they'll love a Dunnes Stores gift card. They can choose from everything we have in store and online, from fashion to homewares to groceries. It's the perfect choice to make this Christmas. Visit dunstores.com for details. Make Christmas for everyone. Terms and conditions apply.
For great fuel deals, contact Gortley Sales and Hire. Large sacks and trailer loads of logs. Also briquettes, coal, kindling and gas with free delivery locally. Contact Gortley Sales and Hire in Letterkenny on 9126276.
Here at Gallagher Quality Meats Ballybuffet, we are now taking orders for an extensive range of farm-fresh turkeys, bronze turkeys and hand-fed geese and ducks. Choose from our home-cured hams and our delicious selection of beef, lamb and pork, direct from our own farms in the Finn Valley. Just give our artisan craft butchers a call to make your Christmas special with quality you can trust. At Gallagher Quality Meats Ballybuffet, call 074 9131 548.
Hi folks, it's Daniel and Micheal here. We have been driving the Hyundai Tucson for the past 5 years.
Yes, and we really love it. And we're so looking forward to stepping into the all-new Tucson in the new year.
If you're thinking about a new car for the new year, then you just have to test drive the all-new Hyundai Tucson at Divers Hyundai.
It looks just amazing.
The Hyundai Tucson,
Ireland's best-selling car
over the past 5 years.
Your local dealer is Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 91 22 600.
Want to accelerate the growth of your new business? Entrepreneurs in Derry City and Strabane District Council areas can now apply for a new Startup Accelerator programme. Eligible participants can avail of free professional support, access to incubation facilities and business grants. The programme is open to businesses who are currently on or have recently completed the Go For It programme. To apply, contact your local enterprise office, Enterprise Northwest or Strabane Enterprise Agency. This project is funded by the UK Government through the UK Community Renewal Scheme.
Incredible value and our widest ever range are top of our list this Christmas at Lidl. Winner of this year's IQFDA Retailer of the Year. We have fresh Irish Board B approved turkey starting at just $8.99. Deluxe award-winning dry cure Irish ham joints were $14.99, now just $12.99. Check in-store for guaranteed lowest prices on 24 packs of Carlsberg, Budweiser and Guinness. Lidl. More for everyone this Christmas. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
Christmas is covered at Letterkenny Shopping Centre. Free parking, shopping and Santa under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at
23 minutes past 10. Now, abuse at a HSE-run care facility in Donegal occurred with the full knowledge of staff and management. That's one of the key findings of the Brandon report, which examined a number of serious incidents at St Joseph's Hospital, Fionnuala from 2003 to 2016. That's 13 years. The resident whose behaviour is the focus of the review was given the pseudonym Brandon. A report published by the National Independent Review Panel states Brandon was able to identify particularly vulnerable residents whom he would pursue relentlessly. It found that management were aware of the sexual inappropriate behaviour by Brandon, and the strategy to deal with it was to move him around various wards, which of course then gave him access to other residents, many of whom became new victims. In 2011, Brandon was moved into a house on his own on the complex, and there was a sharp reduction in the number of sexual assaults recorded. The report states staff experienced powerlessness as they regularly reported incidents up the line in the expectation that something would be done, which it says never was. The report says staff who met the review team described an environment where people were and still are today fearful of coming forward. Now, we are joined on the programme by Bernard O'Regan, who is HSE Head of Operations for Disability. Thank you very much for joining us, Bernard.
Good morning, Greg.
This is an absolute scandal.
The report that was published yesterday is, as you outlined it in your introduction, Greg, a shocking report. It describes an experience for men and women who were subject to abuse by one person, but it also is the result of failings on the part of the system, the model of service, the management and leadership, that all contributed in some way to letting people down. And for that, the HSE absolutely apologises to those men and women who were affected, to the families of people who were let down, and who in turn, by not being told about what was happened, were denied the opportunity to advocate for and to safeguard their family member, and to the staff who did try to improve things and were raising issues and they weren't heard. And that was unacceptable then, as it is now. And it is a report that describes a poor service at that time.
Talk to me about how this was reported. So staff raised concerns with whom? And talk to me about that, what we've learned from this investigation. So staff saw there were problems. We know that nurses were concerned as far back as 2008. So talk to me. So staff raise an issue to whom? Not necessarily the individuals, but what? Is that to management of the centre at that point?
So at that point, what seems to have been the practice, Greg, was that concerns were raised at multidisciplinary meetings.
Now, what does that mean? Who's at the multidisciplinary meetings?
So you might have had a psychiatrist or nursing staff or care staff who were involved. There may have been the manager at the meeting.
Are there minutes of those meetings?
I would expect that there are.
Were they looked at as part of this report?
They were reviewed as part of the report.
Okay.
Yes.
So that multidisciplinary meeting, concerns were raised at that point. Were the concerns raised at that meeting then raised further up the line?
In some instances, it would seem that they were, and in other instances...
Okay, so in the instances that they were, where were they raised to at that point? Regional HSE management?
Well, I think that's part of the review. Points out that the management and leadership of the service was failed, and that's at all levels. Greg,
but there was a point. There was a point where decisions were made, right, that nothing really needed to be done other than moving this individual around. At what level up the HSE chain would that decision have been made?
I think that was probably made at the local service management level primarily.
So do we know if local service management had raised the concerns that were elevated to them above that?
There's mixed evidence that would have happened, Greg.
Well, and if the evidence that it were, how far up did it go then? What's after regional? Is it up then? Is it national?
Regional to national, but these issues would seem that they were managed within primarily the management structures within Donegal primarily at that time. And I think just to recall as well that for some of that time the structures are somewhat different to what they are now. But I think look, the important point.
But we're not. What I'm saying is we're not talking about 1,000 people here. We're talking about then a group of people. What is being done then to sort of find out who ultimately is responsible and hold them to account in an appropriate way?
Absolutely.
Well, what's happening there?
So the National Director of Human Resources has commissioned a scoping exercise.
What does that mean?
That means that they're reviewing the circumstances, the report and the evidence at the moment with a view to making a decision on what the next steps would be in relation to disciplinary action. You'd appreciate, Greg, that these things are very much required to be undertaken in the context of due process, and I don't want to say anything.
No, of course, we don't want to compromise that at all.
But just to assure people that there is a process going on.
And can obviously disciplinary action then can only be taken against people that are still in the employment of the HSE, is that correct?
That's correct.
So in the interim, whilst this scoping exercise is ongoing, probably be January at the earliest, if people were to leave the HSE, then they would be outside the scope of that scoping exercise.
That's correct.
Well,
they'd be outside the scope of it in the context of if there was a disciplinary process to follow.
Right, so time's of the essence then.
It is, of course, absolutely.
And when will that scoping exercise be concluded?
I think that it's anticipated that it would be concluded by the end of January.
Are there any other instances like this anywhere else under your control that we don't know about yet. This was came to light because of a whistleblower. Are there any other reports that are sitting somewhere that haven't been published?
To the best of my knowledge, there aren't. Obviously, there are always processes underway, Greg, where there may be concerns that are raised, but I'm not aware at this point of anything on this scale or the numbers of people involved or at the scale of lack of response, I think, appropriate response as would have been reflected in the Brandon report.
In 2008, concerned nurses got together, a group of them. They signed a letter out of desperation. They were desperate. They pleaded for Brandon to be moved, and they were ignored. Why was that?
I honestly, I don't know. I've been involved in disability services for 30 years. And my experience has always been that where concerns are raised by staff that I've been working with, or where I as a staff myself have raised concerns, that they were responded to appropriately. Clearly in this instance they weren't. That can only, to my mind, demonstrate major failings on the part of management in responding to something that was should have been of the utmost concern and should have elicited the most immediate response.
Have you been able to then determine a motivation for the lack of response? What was the motivation? Why was these activities, why were they ignored? Like what was the motivation? Was it
Okay, I don't want to say something that might interfere with any process that's going on, Greg, as you'll appreciate. So I can't speculate as to the motivation for why somebody did or didn't act in the way that they did.
Okay.
But I think in general, where incidents like this happen in disability service or any other service, they're often characterised by people not taking on the responsibility that they should have in the role that they carry, and acting in a way that is proactive and demonstrates the leadership, but also demonstrates the commitment to the rights of people to, in the first instance, be safely supported within a service, and secondly, that service is working to support them to have the best life that they can have.
I don't know if you're aware, but on Highland Radio a number of years ago, and we have the tape, a senior manager denied there was any sexual abuse of the facility when asked on air. Is that acceptable?
I'm not aware of the particular instance, other than that my understanding was that at the time the person thought they were answering a question relating to a HICWA report. Obviously and clearly there was sexual abuse in that service, and it affected many people, and any communication to the contrary was incorrect.
Did all families get view of this report before it was published online?
We had a communication plan, Greg, that involved making contact with the families of those affected by the report and other families in advance of publication, and we agreed with individual families to get them copies of the report in advance.
So all of them were offered copies and received them in advance?
But I do understand from media coverage today that there was at least one family that didn't happen for.
Is that acceptable?
I know from colleagues in CHO1 who were leading out on this work that they made every effort to contact families. If there was a failing, I apologise unreservedly to that family. It wasn't our intention to not have a circumstance where families had the opportunity to access.
Now, obviously, this is of huge distress for families, but particularly accessing the report, viewing the report, the facts, although they would know all of them, perhaps not all of them, were laid bare for them to see. What supports were given to them in advance of this publication and subsequent to it? What supports were offered to them? Do you know?
Okay, so families that were being contacted in advance of publication were being contacted by psychology and social workers who would be familiar with the families and familiar to them. Families have been offered contact details to liaise with psychology support, and there are a number of managers who are also available to provide support or answer any questions that families may have, and those supports will continue to be available to families on whatever basis that they wish them to be available to them.
If a staff member now goes to their manager in a similar setting and says, I've got concerns about what might be happening, what is the procedure now?
The procedure is that there is a requirement for that manager to act on the information that they have. In addition,
was that not the case previously?
Well, it was, but just in addition, there's also measures like protected disclosure. The safeguarding teams are in place, so there are additional measures that are in place today. But I would say, given that I have this opportunity, if you don't mind, to say to any staff in disability services, anywhere who's listening to this, that if you have a concern on anything, please use the mechanisms that are there. Report it to your manager, report it to the safeguarding teams. And if it's not being acted on, then to use things like protected disclosure. But I'd also say to managers that it is your obligation, first and foremost, to do everything you can to safeguard people. And where a concern is brought to your attention, it's your obligation, your responsibility, and your duty to act on it.
Like, if someone raises a concern now, or even in this historic, not historic actually, but in this case that we're talking of here, right? Management above the regional management, there can't be any plausible deniability here. Were they going in and asking questions? Do we know if concerns were raised with the next tier up of management? Did they pursue them? How can people be satisfied that those who are responsible for this at all levels, not just because you don't know, because that's not good management not to know either, that people will be held to account for this? Because until that happens, this may continue to happen elsewhere, because, again, the HSE just takes the flak for it across the entire service, right? People need to know that ultimately people will be held responsible. And, maybe it's not possible through the current regulations that are now, that retirement can't insulate you from punishment.
Well, again, look, I can't comment on some of what you're asking me, Greg, because it just falls outside my remit. What I can say to you is that in terms of a HR process, there is that has commenced and is in train, and just need to let that work its way through. I think in terms of reporting now and just how things are recorded and tracked, I think first of all, where safeguarding concerns arise, they do go to the safeguarding teams in each CHO. They are tracked and monitored for follow-up by those teams. And there are recording and reporting systems into the national oversight teams and the national management structure. So we do have systems in place. Equally, we're able to use our systems to monitor and track information, so that there are national performance processes in place to manage and to intervene if we're not satisfied that adequate measures are being taken in response to concerns.
I mean, whatever about local management, the HSE as a whole, at its very highest levels, were responsible for delaying the publication of this report. Some would feel that it actually took it being highlighted in the Dáil for any of this report to be published. The minister herself was told that the report would not be made available to her. That's this year. Explain that. Why was that happening?
Well, I think maybe to say a couple of things on it. First of all, the HSE was intent to be as transparent as possible with publication of the report that was published yesterday. A lot of the discussion has been around the publication of the full report as opposed to
the summary
version that was published yesterday. And I suppose the decision making in relation to what to publish was influenced by the understanding of the overall national independent review process, which is founded on people being able to participate in a confidential manner. it's really important for us to have a process like the NIRP process that allows us to learn, to get the kind of report that we published yesterday that details the findings and the recommendations. So
when was this report concluded?
The final report was submitted in, June or July?
Yeah, so what took from June to July for it to be published on the last day of the Dáil sitting after a public outcry?
Well, I think that we needed to consider the report. We needed to make sure that we had responses in place to it.
But the responses are that you can't really talk about it, scope and exercise. That's what all of you guys being sent out to the media are saying, the exact same thing.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of other work going on as well, Greg. There is a strategic review, a strategic steering group in place, which is overseeing the implementation of the recommendations. There is a focus on the service to do a very systematic service improvement plan, and there's also a lot of work going on to develop an approach to develop services and to implement the recommendations. So the HR and the disciplinary process is one important aspect of it, but there are also other important aspects of the recommendations that are in train as well.
Now, obviously, I think there's 18 victims have been identified or covered in this. There are other families that believe or feel that their family members may have been victims. What is being done to examine that? What supports are being given there?
Okay, so we are examining records at the moment. That will be completed in January, and if there are any concerns that need to be raised with any individual or family, we will do that at that time.
Families want, some families at least, I can't speak for all of them, but a couple that have contacted us want the full report published as soon as possible. When will that happen?
Okay, it's not the intention of the HSE to publish the full report.
How will we know then what actually went on?
Well, I think the report that was published yesterday sets out in some detail, Greg, what did happen. It does set out the abuse that happened. It does set out the numbers of people that were involved in it. It's very clear in terms of setting out the findings and what the contributing factors.
So why wouldn't we see the whole report?
And what the recommendations were.
Why wouldn't we see the full report? Why, if we are to have a trust and faith in these services, we need to see everything?
Well, I think there are two things. We also want trust and faith in a process that elicits the type of report that we got yesterday, and that allows us to have the type of learning at the depth and quality of what NIRP produced. And we don't want to transgress the process that's there in order to achieve that.
With all due respect, the process, this has been going on now for a very, very, very long time. Maybe publish it and change the process then so people know what's going on.
Well, look, I think that the risk here is we want, unfortunately, there may be events in other parts of the health and social care services in the future where we need a NIRP process that people engage in fully, share all of their information honestly and with the integrity of a process that can assure them that the learning, which is the first and foremost, I suppose, requirement of the NIRP process, that we can achieve that to the maximum benefit.
I mean, obviously, primarily, these victims were failed. Brandon was failed. But a word from you to the staff that the stress this would have had on them. They tried to get this sorted. They had the care of the patients to their forefront. They were ignored, shut down, claims of bullying, some of them probably not in work anymore over the head of this. That is a group of people that would never put themselves on a par or ahead of the victims. But I haven't really heard much said about them since. What is your message to those staff members that did everything they felt that they actually could to put an end to this?
Well, I think what I'd say is, first of all, I'd apologise to them as well, Greg. I think, as you say, many staff worked really hard, tried to do the right things, and the system failed them as well. So I wholeheartedly regret that was the experience. We have thousands of staff working in disability services across the country. They are very committed to the work that they do. They often work in very challenging environments to support people to have good lives, to participate in their communities, to work at and deliver reforms in how services are organised and delivered. And when they are let down by management or policy or lack of adequate training and support, we're letting them down. And by extension, we're also letting down the people that we support ultimately.
Okay. If anyone, this scoping exercise, finds anyone responsible, and we're not looking to compromise that in any way, shape or form, what sanction is available? Like, what could the punishment be to anyone identified to have been responsible for allowing this to happen?
Well, look, okay, I think the best way maybe that I could answer that is to say that there is a trust and care policy in place which outlines the range of sanctions that are there in the event of any staff member being found to have breached.
What is the most severe sanction?
Code. Dismissal is the most severe sanction.
So someone could be sacked.
But that applies to any disciplinary process.
And that is it. That's so. In other words, people might, if I were involved in this, sure, I have a couple of months to retire anyway and avoid any of that. That's the greatest sanction that's there. Can there be any impact on pensions or entitlements?
I'm really outside my scope.
Well, I don't want to be unfair.
And I couldn't answer you, Greg. I don't know.
Okay. Any final words before we wrap it up?
Look, this is a terrible report in terms of the content of what it's describing. People were failed, families were failed, and staff were failed. But it's also a report that makes very strong recommendations about what needs to happen to address this and also to prevent it. And all I can do is apologise again to all those affected, but also give assurance that we are working as hard as we can to implement the recommendations of the report.
Okay, Bernard O'Regan, HSE Head of Operations for Disability, thanks for joining us this morning.
That's all. Thank you, Greg.
All right, we'll be back with more after the messages.
This week on the 9 till noon show, we've got a fantastic hamper worth over €500 to be won, courtesy of McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. It contains a Lancôme Christmas hamper, a blank canvas luxury advent calendar gift set, a Be Perfect iconic essential set, a bottle of Chanel's Bleu de Chanel for men, and a bottle of Victor and Rolf's Flower Bomb for women. Also, a 20 by 16 inch gallery wrapped canvas, so you can have your favourite photo wrapped in canvas ready to hang on the wall. 5 daily qualifiers will be in the draw on Friday. Our qualifiers will also win a prize each day, and today's prize is a bottle of Marc Jacobs Perfect for ladies. The question is, what does Santa give to naughty children? To enter, text the word HI followed by your answer and then your name and address to 53131 or from the north to 84555. Entry will cost 30 cents or the sterling equivalent plus your operator's standard charge. McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny and McGee's.ie with loads of great present ideas for Christmas.
Christmas is here. It's your turn to host. You want the best for the ones you love most. Aldi quality at prices so small help make this Christmas the most memorable of all. Roadworks award-winning IPA craft beer 500ml just $1.99. Tato party boxes $3.95. Celebrations Quality Street, Cadbury's Heroes and Rose's chocolate tubs only $3.99. And Victoria biscuits only $2.99. Aldi, make Christmas amazing for everyone. Get the facts, be drink aware, visit drinkaware.ie.
Things are deteriorating quickly here in DRC. It's now the biggest hunger crisis the world has ever seen, and 3.4 million children are on the brink of survival. Concerned staff are working around the clock, but we desperately need more supplies. Your gift will save lives. Visit concern.net and send life-saving food today. Thank you.
Give the gift of sport from Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure. Footwear sports brands for sports people. Hoka, Asics, New Balance, Brooks and On Cloud. Sporting gifts for Christmas. Click on bmcsports.ie.
Candles, lanterns, Christmas tree, decorations, elf on the shelf and all types of lights. It's everything you need for Christmas. Experience the magic of Christmas at Cooney's Letterkenny. Our biggest and best ever Christmas shop is open 7 days with unbeatable value on lights, trees and accessories. There's something for everyone this Christmas at Cooney's Letterkenny Retail Park.
If you're aged 50 or over, it's time for your COVID-19 vaccine booster. Without one, you're more at risk of serious illness from COVID-19. Your booster will give you the best possible protection. When your booster is due, the HSC will send your appointment by text message. People in this group can also come to a walk-in vaccination clinic or contact a participating pharmacy or GP. Visit hsc.ie for clinic times and locations near you. From the HSC.
At Tesco, nothing's stopping us this Christmas. Exclusive to Tesco, indulgent Toblerone chocolate orange and Ferrero Rocher collection 12-piece from €4 each. And for a tasty frozen treat, try our new Tesco Finest Belgian chocolate orange or Madagascar vanilla ice cream, 500ml, just €3.29 each. And it wouldn't be Christmas without our Tesco Finest mince pies 6-pack, 2 for €4. Shop in-store or online. Tesco, every little helps.
No matter how busy we are, how can we make the most of our lives each day? By spending quality time together or spending time giving back? However you spend each day with Debit MasterCard, spend it doing what matters most to you. Because a life well spent is truly priceless. Learn more at mastercard.ie.
I'm getting warm notes of fanciness, definitely made from a variety of grape. Grown on south-facing vines, surrounded by other grapes. If I had to guess where this is from, I'd say Centra.
Fill your glass with Sancerre, Fleury or Vacaras and other hard-to-pronounce names. All part of Centra's full-on festive Christmas wine sale. Enjoy alcohol responsibly.
Homeland fuel offers, keeping you warm for less. 20 kg Super Therm, buy 5 bags, get 1 bag of hardwood logs free. 10 kg wood pellets, buy 10, get 1 free. Board Namona briquettes, buy 3 for €16. Shop in-store or online at homeland.ie. Treat your pets this Christmas at Gary's Pet World, Letterkenny. You will find a large selection of gifts, toys and Christmas selection boxes together with delicious after-dinner treats for all your cats and dogs with great value on pet food and accessories. A trip to Gary's Pet World is a must this Christmas. Call in and see for yourself or log on to petworld.ie.
All your effort, all your exam cramming, all your drive, all your natural ability, all your can-do positivity, all your wildest dreams and one-day claims, all leads you to one place, Allstate, where career opportunities are endless. Have it all at Allstate. Search allstateni.com today.
Presents? Check. Turkey? Check. Sprouts? Check. Home heating oil? Save time, money and stay cosy in a click with o'donnellfuels.ie. Get a faster, cheaper heating oil quote online at o'donnellfuels.ie and enjoy a warm, cosy home this Christmas. O'Donnell Fuels Crawley, fueling the festive season.
Ho, ho, ho! We're on the go! Ho, ho! Nolig! Hurrah!
Whatever the weather, Christmas shopping in Letterkenny will brighten your December. The Highland Weather Forecast, brought to you by Shop LK. See shoplk.ie or like us on Facebook.
Okay, today dry and mostly cloudy with occasional periods of sunshine. Temperatures of 7 to 10 degrees, winds light to moderate and from the southeast. Remaining dry and cloudy with a few clear spells tonight. Lowest temperatures 4 to 7 degrees, a little colder locally under clearer skies with a touch of frost available, or possible, sorry. Some mist and fog patches may form in light southeast breezes. Now, some of your comments, and we've been very, very busy today, and if I can't get to all of them, I certainly will carry them over, okay, until Monday, because they are very important. Let me see, where are we? I'm a family relative, and I'm disgusted. There's no forgiveness from me. They did this, but I feel responsible for it. Someone must be held accountable for it. And listen, what can I say to that? That is your emotions, and I get that. I understand. Apologies are to a penny from the HSE these days. Why is no one asking who was responsible for shutting the book on Brandon's behaviour? Reports and apologies are useless. If the individuals responsible for the cover-up are exposed and made accountable for their actions, reports just gather dust and nothing ever happens. The PR machine wins every time. Another, I'm so saddened and disgusted about this Brandon report. Shame on the HSE. I have a sister with special needs. We put our trust in the HSE management. We trust these people. It's the worst I've ever heard. As a family relative of a nurse who expressed extreme concern several times, I'm delighted they've been vindicated. Retirement should not be allowed as an excuse to escape punishment for those who stood back and allowed it. Another, sadly, they did the same thing with this male patient as they did with the priests, moved them around, causing more victims rather than dealing with him or locking him up. Morning, Greg. Thank you, Highland, for highlighting the Brandon report. It's absolutely sickening what went on, and I agree with Micheal on your panel earlier, who said the next scandal will be the old people in care homes. Please, the powers that be, do something to sort this out. Thanks. Okay, and thank you very much indeed. I'm disgusted at this. It's a bit like the Catholic Church. They're drip feeding the truth, but they're causing more harm than good. The full scale of this needs to be published. Hi, Greg. Listening to your conversation with that boss, I'm not convinced these people will be held to account. Thank you. Well, I can tell you, maybe from my tone of questioning, you might determine whether or not I believe anyone will actually be held accountable for it. Another, safeguarding has been in for a number of years. This was still going on. People are afraid to report concerns as managers then victimise them or make complaints about them. But what about, ridding an organisation of a situation whereby you're talking more about pathways for whistleblowers than actual sanctions, training, or whatever it is for management? You know, it would not happen in a public company. Can you imagine a public company where you've got the bottom tier and then the next tier of management and then the upper management, and instead of that middle tier of management making sure that they were held accountable, that they were trained, that there was proper oversight and checking on that you went to the lower group of staff and said, look, if you've any problems, bypass that management and come up to us. That's what the focus would be. That company wouldn't be around very long, would it? No, it wouldn't, because what you do is you make sure that all levels, there's proper oversight, training, or whatever needs to be done. All right, okay, listen, we're going to head towards the news at 11. Stay where you are. We'll be right back.
Think outside the box with your photos this Christmas for canvas prints, mugs and calendars at mcgee's.ie. McGee's Chemist Letterkenny, sponsors of the 9 till noon show.
At Tesco, our contactless home delivery service now has extra slots available. Get your shop freshly picked and delivered to your door. Shop online now and book a slot at tesco.ie. Tesco. Every little helps.
If you're aged 50 or over, it's time for your COVID-19 vaccine booster. Without one, you're more at risk of serious illness from COVID-19. Your booster will give you the best possible protection. When your booster is due, the HSE will send your appointment by text message. People in this group can also come to a walk-in vaccination clinic or contact a participating pharmacy or GP. Visit hsc.ie for clinic times and locations near you. From the HSE.
Free 2022 Glossy Farming Calendar. It's one of the farming favourites of the year, and you can get your free IFA calendar only inside today's Irish Farmers Journal. For more on this week's Farmers Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
We reveal the new slurry and fertiliser rules for your farm. Government plan to save and restore old farm buildings and farmhouses. And payments for Straw Scheme and BDGP are on the way.
This week's Irish Farmers Journal with your free IFA calendar and Mockra magazine is on sale now.
Whether revolutionary engines, hybrid technologies or all-electric, discover what drives you with the 221 Mazda electrified range at McGinley Mazda. Stand out from the crowd with award-winning Kodo design that makes your Mazda a work of art. And go the extra mile with next-level SkyActiv fuel efficiency. To order your 221 Mazda, visit our showroom or mcginleymazda.ie to find the best 221 offer to suit your lifestyle. Mazda. Drive together. Terms and conditions apply.
Your local Mazda dealer is McGinley Motors, Pierce Road, Letterkenny.
At SuperValue, we want to share even more magic this Christmas by giving you savings off your shopping with our Real Rewards vouchers, which are available on our handy app. So no need to worry about leaving them at home. If you haven't already, download the Real Rewards app to get new vouchers every week until Christmas. Share the magic this Christmas with SuperValue.
Getting together might take a bit more planning this year. Before you do, remember to first think RSVP. Risk, symptoms, venue, people. Risk. What's the risk? Am I vaccinated or have I got my booster? Symptoms. Am I currently showing symptoms of COVID-19? Venue. Are they following the guidelines? Will I be wearing a mask? And people. How many people am I meeting? How many households are coming together? Let's all RSVP ahead so we can stay safe and enjoy Christmas this year. Find out more at gov.ie/risk-aware. Supported by the Government of Ireland.
A very good morning to you once again. It is 11 o'clock. Coming up shortly, Micheal and Fionnuala will be with us to ease us into the weekend with That's Entertainment. That is on the way. And, well, not much more besides. It's just them. Okay, so that's it. But we do have in this hour the very latest news from Donald Kavanagh. Good morning, Donald.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. A senior HSE official has said the Brandon report shows that service users, families and staff were failed in the response to what was happening at Ardgrania Court and the Shonahare unit in Stranraer, as outlined in the executive summary of the report, which was published yesterday. Bernard O'Regan, the head of operations for disabilities with the HSE, was speaking to Greg on the 9 till noon show. You can hear that full interview online on our website, highlandradio.com. Meanwhile, the chair of the Green Party in Donegal told Greg earlier he fears a major scandal will develop in nursing homes in the next number of years. Commenting on the publication of the executive summary, Michael White said the pattern of what happened in terms of staff members reporting abuses and then higher level managers failing to address those concerns is one which has been seen before, particularly in the Catholic Church. Cabinet will decide later whether to accept a recommendation to have a new closing time of 5 p.m. for the hospitality sector. NPHET has recommended the move in response to the incoming wave of Omicron COVID cases. The Taoiseach has been flying home from Brussels this morning to chair an emergency meeting of the Cabinet Subcommittee within the next hour. A full Cabinet meeting will then take place to decide whether or not the recommendations should be accepted. Nearly a third of the adult population has had a COVID booster or additional dose. 32.3% of over 18s have now received a third jab. Permanent TSB is to buy €7.6 billion worth of assets from Ulster Bank. It includes performing non-tracker mortgages as well as performing SME loans and Ulster Bank's Lombard Assets Finance businesses. The 25 Ulster Bank branches are also part of the deal. Roughly 450 employees in them will be able to transfer. The sale is part of Ulster Bank's plan to withdraw totally from the Irish market over the coming years. And a staff member has been left badly shaken after an armed robbery at a shop on Derry's Northlands Avenue last evening. Cigarettes and a quantity of cash were taken along with the staff member's mobile phone after two masked men armed with knives entered the premises and threatened the staff member at around 10 to 8. And we're back with headlines again at 12 noon.
OK, Donald, thank you very much indeed.
Here at Londis, it's Christmas time. Santa Claus is...
Yeah, what are you at?
The boss told me to sort the Christmas wrapping.
Yeah, wrapping paper. Here's the offers. Cake & Co Luxury Mince Pies and O'Dwyer's Christmas Cake Slices, buy one get one free. Kyo's Crisps 125 grams, buy one get one free. Vinny de Cardinelli Prosecco, only $7.99. At Londis, we know what locals want, because we're local, like you. Offer ends December 20th in participating stores or while stocks last. Please enjoy, drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.ie.
Chicka word.
Okay, time now for our newly rebranded That's Entertainment slot with Michael, who's disappeared. Hi, Michael, are you there?
I am indeed.
Why would you do
How
that? Why
doing?
would you literally wait? Can you scoot around a wee bit, Fionnuala? Yeah, let's see now. Let me see how you look on there. Oh, my. The microphone's in front of your face.
I know. I'm going to move it now again, but I can't see.
Okay, let's do this. Why do we not do this off air? We always seem to do this stuff on there. Lovely. How are you? How are you, Fionnuala?
I'm good. Good. Now.
Stuff. Did you fall out with your draw drum?
No, I didn't. No, I still love it. In the event of my leaving this station and this
It's
job,
going
it's coming
with
with me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's my greatest achievement to date
All
here
right.
at Highland.
Okay, I want to pay a couple of requests first. Please play a request for Saoirse Gillespie McCarthy from Strana Corca and tell her it was sent with love and good wishes from her family in South Carolina. Thanks in advance. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you too. Morning, Greg. Can you give a mention to Daniel Kearney in Buncrana, who turns 89 years young today, and wish him a happy birthday, a loyal Highland listener. Many thanks from all in Cockhill in Buncrana and all of us here as well. A very happy birthday to you. Right. Well, I think because it's an event, we'll start with Michael, if that's all right, Fionnuala.
100%.
Because Spider-Man No Way Home, he was up to Hido with excitement last week.
Yes.
In advance of it, and I just
and now we're gonna have to be nearly searching for cinemas if they don't all stay open. It's gonna be.
Please. We're easing our way into the weekend.
I know, but I really want to see Spider-Man and West Side Story.
Whatever it is, not now.
Yeah.
If you want to come in on Monday morning, we can fit you in about 20 past 9.
I just don't know how many excuses I could give my mother when I leave the house at 10:30 and don't come home until 5 o'clock in the evening. There's only so many times that they're going to believe when I'm down home that I've gone for a walk, but instead I've just spent 6 hours in the cinema or 7 hours in the pub.
I
all
might
day.
just switch to Dubai time until January 2nd.
Oh, I like it.
Good idea. Come here.
Yes.
No Way Home. You see, you're going to come in here and say, I have to be really careful what I have to say. No spoilers, no spoilers. And in a way, for me, that's a spoiler. But anyway, go on. I'll let you navigate it. Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah, well, I've given some thought to what I can say here. There's actually quite a lot I can say about this movie. I can say that it's very funny. I can say that the action sequences are fantastic, probably the best of the 3 Spider-Man movies. I can say that the villains pretty much almost steal the movie, are great villains in this. And I can say that the story is very original and very well thought out. And definitely I can say that. Also, the 3 movies with Tom Holland, it's really obvious now that with having the same director, John Watts and everything, it's very much a trilogy. I didn't really appreciate it, but it's very well crafted as a beginning, a middle, and an end. It feels like a major phase in Peter Parker's life is concluded now in a certain way, and it feels like a trilogy that they have brought to
Is he a
fruition.
man now?
He's a man now. He is.
Spider-Man never really becomes a man, does he? He's always kind of that.
Just recast.
Boyish kind of.
Yeah. Well, he's grown up, I suppose, and he's more. Yeah, even Tom Holland looks a bit older now, so he's more like the Spider-Man. I think at the end of this, he's more like the Spider-Man of the comics, and that's something I liked seeing very much. Beyond that, there's not much more you can say. What I will say about spoilers is certain things are out there and have been out there for weeks and weeks and weeks, and maybe they're right, maybe they're wrong. But a lot of things, a lot of things are not out there and weren't out there at all. So somebody who hasn't seen it and thinks, oh, that's okay, I kind of know what's happening, that's a dangerous trap to fall into. You probably
Or a good trap, because
know.
then you get more of a surprise.
Yeah, so so what I'm saying is don't get trapped into going onto social media. Stay away from Twitter, and even YouTube is dangerous. Stay away from those things if you really want to see it. What?
Everyone else is talking about Omicron, and you're on about how dangerous YouTube and Twitter
Well,
is.
it's 11 o'clock. It's between 11 and 12 on Friday, Greg, as you said yourself. This is what we chatted about.
Darn it, I actually did it myself.
Oh, we chatted about.
Right, I mean, it's full marks from you, isn't it?
Yeah, 10 out of 10. I went to see it with the guys, most of the guys from the D&D group. We were all very emotional.
That's
we were all
Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. Sorry, yeah.
In the circle.
I
We were
definitely
all-
want to have a night out with those guys.
Yeah, I think
As
you
soon as-
should. You'd be
we
so
should
welcome.
Totally, we should. I would totally be into it.
So
I'm
he'll
always
meet
were
you in a
chatting-
group.
we
He'll
were
meet you-
standing-
He'll meet you in a group. Right.
We were standing on the steps outside the cinema chatting, and we chatted about you, Fionnuala. We also chatted about you, Greg, to a lesser degree. But we definitely,
I know I'm not taken serious at all. I know that.
So, Fionnuala, you would be very welcome.
Oh,
because,
good, because I've always wanted to know what Dungeons and Dragons was like to play.
Well, you could come along and play with us in the new year. It's all possible. Anything's possible.
100%. I'd love to.
As long as you don't stand me up like you did that night.
No,
at
I
the
won't.
theatre.
I promise.
But I've totally moved on
promise.
from that, Fionnuala.
Good.
I've moved on.
Do I have to watch the first 2 Spider-Men to be able to watch this? I'm ignoring that. Do I have to watch the first 2 Spider-Men to watch this? You know how you
Yeah,
said
you
it's
get-
more of a trilogy?
Yeah,
I mean,
you
I
get
am.
more
Of
out
course,
of it,
I
yeah.
have, but I'm saying for others, they have a treat in
Yeah.
store.
I
Because the
think-
first 2
I
are really
think-
good.
I think there'd be gaps if you didn't. Like, you can watch, series.
Yeah.
There's always wee gaps and wee nods, and it's
just
that
hard to get
franchise-
Spider-Man because it's not
Yeah.
100%.
It's a thematic thing.
Uh,
That's a great
Marvel.
question. as a movie, I will say something I think is surprising. I think it stands on its own as a story, beginning, middle, and end, definitely. But thematically, if you've seen the other two movies, you just appreciate this version of Ned, this version of MJ, this version of Aunt May. You appreciate the bond. It's like another episode of an ongoing drama series. So you can watch it and enjoy it on its own, but you get more out of it if you're very aware of this world that this particular Spider-Man has built up around him since he first appeared in Civil War.
Full marks then.
Full marks, without any questions.
None of
best of the three movies, best of the Spider-Man
I keep
movies.
looking at the sheets. None of you putting down Succession on it, no?
No, we don't watch Succession. Everybody else watches it. There's no point.
It's
I know, but
it finished, and it's just
brilliant.
Yes, it is brilliant. I think the way the family communicate with each other and the language, and a lot of it's quite coarse. That's wearing a little bit thin, but just in terms of storytelling and drama. I think they should wrap it up after the next one, though, because they keep sort of having to recycle storylines.
Yeah, they're getting a bit similar.
Extent.
They're either going to overthrow them or they're not. Like
exactly, and who will it be this time? And who will?
I don't know much about it, but is it like a 21st century Dallas in that it's a family feud thing? Is that what it is? Is that what?
I suppose. I don't know enough about Dallas to draw that comparison.
It's like Dallas, but with the kind of Game of Thrones type of idea.
Right. But as in at the end, or the rabbits, or whoever it might be.
No, but and that's the thing. Everyone says about it is that the 100%. I'm always being told I'm like one of the characters, and I'm not 100% sure. It's a compliment by my siblings.
I'm not saying nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying nothing.
They all come tell me at home that I'm a certain character, and I'm like, I'm afraid to watch it.
I want to watch it.
I know. Now I'm afraid to watch it just in case I end up falling out with all of my siblings. But I think that's supposed to be the kind of idea of it, though, with the Game of Thrones, is in
again, I'm disadvantaged because I haven't seen that.
Well, the idea that eventually, one person eventually needs to rise above and be, you know what I mean, and be the winner with all the conspiracy and plotting that goes around.
It's an often told story,
different.
but it's just in the context of, a media mogul.
Yeah, and just the fact that it's a family, so they're kind of like, they make alliances, then they stab each other in the back, then they go back and make alliances.
I mean, there's some really strong characters in it.
Give it relevance because it's very close to a real life media family that makes it more relevant to the last 20 years.
But also, it is a media family, right? But if you say, for instance, replace the media company with a plot of land or something, it's relatable to people within a family trying to sort of jockey for position or power or whatever it might be. It's relatable as but you could put it could be. It doesn't have to be a media company. It could be something else.
Yeah, it just happens to be the communications company.
It could be an oil company in Texas. There you go.
There you go, Dallas. There you go.
But
bringing it all back.
Did anyone watch it? What did you think? 086 60 25,000.
I don't know anybody that doesn't like it.
It's one of those shows that delivers moments that sort of you remember. There was one in the last season or the season before when one of the key characters did sort of a rap, and it's just like it sticks with you. You know what I mean? It's that kind of a thing, and there were a couple of instances like that in this series where things happen and it's so well done, and it's you know what I mean? You talk about it. Did you see that?
But it is consistently, when I see it on social media and I come across it, it's always cited as maybe the best thing on TV in the last few years. So I do see that consistently.
But and we've talked about this, all of us. Do you know when someone talks something up and you don't want to watch it because it's not something like that? Because it's not that anything major happens in any particular episode. You just sit and watch and sort of enjoy. But it's really good. It's a good 8 or 9 out of 10. Succession. But that's it. They're doing another series anyway. They'd have to. Right. Okay. So. The Cult of Conspiracy, QAnon, Channel 4, Fionnuala. Do you mind if I pick that one out? Has this been broadcast yet?
It has been broadcast. Yeah, it was broadcast during the week, but it's also available to download and on the All4 player and that. So you can watch it on Sky, or you can watch it on anything now, on the app or anything like that at all. And knowing Channel 4, they'll probably be putting it out again because they tend to repeat their documentaries. While Michael was having the joy of Spider-Man in his life, I went very dark this week. Everything I watched, I was like, oh my God. Not Christmassy at all. Not.
So, Darling Bud's Amaze on the list. What happened in it?
That was the only one that's down. I know. The new stuff that I've watched. But this Cult of Conspiracy, QAnon, is an English reporter And he goes into America, meets up with some people who are on all sides of the, I suppose what you'd call the far, well, they wouldn't call themselves the far right, but you'd kind of call the right in America, and people that are involved in it. And he talks about like how QAnon started off as being one thing, and now it has developed into this kind of a movement. And what is the movement, and where is the grounding of it, and you know, what are the beliefs of it, and how do people get involved in it? It's a very interesting thing to watch. I think for people like me, who would say that they would be on the side of saying, no, I don't believe any of this kind of stuff, to other people then who genuinely agree with a lot of stuff that comes out from those kind of QAnon theories. It was a very interesting one to see. He talked to the likes of Roger Stone. He talked to the likes of Michael Flynn. So he had he managed to get into those, and they're considered now whether or not they are the future of that movement that has come together. But then he also talks to people who have nearly become victims of that movement, that have become so kind of sucked into the whole conspiracy idea that they've been dragged down through it.
Listen, everyone's entitled to their own views, and people can think whatever they want to think. I don't judge them, but like, the QAnon thing is what amazes me, and it's often the people that will tell you to do your research or call you a sheep, is that some of the stuff that's believed is so unbelievable. It's flat world stuff, and this all really emanates from a person on 4chan, effectively, who claimed to be, have knowledge.
To be honest,
within.
Nobody even knows whether it started off that it was one individual that claimed that he was an insider.
Yeah.
So kind of claiming that he was releasing secret documents type
thing. It all comes from this, to the point that they all turned up on the grassy knoll waiting for JFK Jr. to come back to life last
and
year.
JFK himself, which I have to say, I would love to see JFK himself if he came back, because I was a big fan, and JFK Jr. But I would like to think he wouldn't come back to the place where he was killed. That he'd come back somewhere a bit, they'd be a bit friendlier to him. Yeah. But and I was a big fan of JFK and JFK Jr. Very upset when he apparently passed away in that plane crash. I agree. I mean, I tend not to get sucked into, much as I like to read about them and this kind of thing. I kind of like to read them and watch this kind of stuff more for, to my mind, how people get themselves into a headspace. You know, the way that they have can believe some of the more extreme stuff that's on this. This is an interesting thing with QAnon is that, yes, it did start off like that on 4chan. It was back when Donald Trump was only just running and that kind of thing, and there was changes happening within the Republican Party. No one's 100% sure whether that particular individual is the individual that kept going for the next 4 or 5 years. But what they are sure of is that nobody has released any information as Q since November of last year. And yet,
but a lot of the person
people still believe that stuff is happening.
Yeah, but a lot of that stuff was seeded, you see it. And if you look at how the information that this guy or group of people drops, it's how it's interpreted. So it's like, 5 plus 2 is 6. 6 is the number of 7. 7 plus 5 is 12. So JFK is going to come back on the grassy knoll. Do you know what I mean?
Oh no, 100%. I completely agree with you.
Reddit,
but what's gone a bit crazy about this is, and what I found interesting, what he talks about here is that there are now maybe 100 QAnons.
Yeah.
Because what's happened is that one individual or a group of individuals started releasing information under this QAnon and supposedly giving us all the truth. But now, as you say, the way it's been interpreted, so I'm over here in this corner and I've got my 60 people and I'm interpreting this to mean that it's all, JFK is going to come back. Then you've another guy over in the other sector and he's saying, oh God, well, there's 100, everybody in Washington is involved in a 1 million person paedophilia ring, which apparently nobody has ever told them.
And they still
police
protest outside that pizza shop as well.
And there's not even a basement. So this is, so you've got that side of it. But then what you also have then is you have people who in some way have a certain amount of legitimacy, like the Michael Flynn, like the Roger Stone type characters. You have an awful lot of people, like one of the people that he spoke to was a reverend, a pastor in the church and that kind of thing. People that come from a place of legitimacy in a lot of just regular people's minds, and now they are unwilling to kind of say, no, that's even for the crazy bits, they're unwilling to say, oh, well, there's no way that's true, and sort of keep the bits that they want. They just take an umbrella acceptance of everything in order to drive their own personal agendas, is what it appears to me.
What is quite interesting too, a lot of the information that ends up on the internet that you're invited to go and research, it's generated by the same people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're saying go and do your research, right, don't you? And there's one particular article, for example, that then gets shared, a million times, and then that's the facts because it's in a million places on the internet. It's a
I know,
it's a peculiar kind of a thing because you say, well, it's there, and then people print it off.
Well, people say, isn't that the new saying? And suddenly it becomes fact because, people are saying.
Well, you ask a question. When you ask a question, you say, why is no one asking this? Why is no one asking that? Do you know what I mean?
But why is no one asking why Fionnuala is not in charge of the whole wide world? I think that's a legitimate. I think this is a legitimate conversation we should start.
On that. Because obviously there was the worldwide element of this. And as I say, I'm not criticising for anyone for the point of view, but there was a unbelievable interest in US politics in this country all of a sudden. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
because it was tied in
unbelievable
to a global situation. So Trump was then seen as a saviour and.
What and it's not just here. It's been in so many different countries that kind of a, I suppose, for you don't like to give it too much goose, but like a Trumpism, you know what I mean? As in, it wasn't even nearly about the individual, but this has now become this type of as if it's a movement. That
he was supposed to bring a storm, and a storm was to wash
through, and the truth was supposed to come, and you had the likes of like the Michael Lindells and the My Pillow and that kind of thing, and he was going to come back. But what I find amazing is how people adapted that to their own country, not just here, but in the UK, in lots of different countries.
I don't want to get too deep into it for fear of offending anyone. What you do is, you tie it into the things that people most motivate people. Right? One of those, obviously, is the welfare of our children. So if you want to brush past a lot of stuff and get to people, you go right to the most abhorrent thing.
Oh, well, look, one of the things that they do in this is they speak to a woman.
That's how the system works. That's how you know.
Yeah. Oh, no, and again, I say to people, another thing to watch if you're watching this is watch the Brexit. The Channel 4 Brexit kind of drama documentary that they did with Benedict Cumberbatch, because that actually spoke to how the pro-Brexit group, smartly, as it turned out, because it worked in their favour and the vote went their way, sat and were able to get their information to people through targeting them in specific ways.
Which is happening here with IREX as well.
Yeah.
It's happening at the moment. Here,
in so many ways, but they've changed the way that we've done things. To me, I just find it really interesting because it's amazing how much in the last 5 or 6 years people's thinking has changed in their general belief systems, in what they take as news and what's not news, and also even how we look at politics, how we look at elections, how we look at different topics.
And the target groups are those who are disenfranchised from the political system, that are frustrated with politics, are frustrated with democracy. You'll see a lot of crossover, and I get that, and it's answers, and we all want answers and cause and something to go with that, and I get that fully. Right? Okay. It's interesting.
It's interesting. It's just interesting to watch. Yeah, it's just interesting to watch, to kind of see the different sides of it and to see the different people involved. So I kind of recommend it to anybody. I enjoyed it. I'd probably give it about a 7.
All right, okay. Listen, we'll come back with more from Micheal and Fionnuala, starting with Micheal. But we're going to give you a reminder of the fantastic quiz. This is thanks to our friends at McGee's who've been working with us all this week on the programme. It's a brilliant prize. It's worth over €500 overall. Here are the details. Listen up, you'll want to enter this. It's very good.
This week on the 9 till noon show, we've got a fantastic hamper worth over €500 to be won, courtesy of McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny. It contains a Lancôme Christmas hamper, a blank canvas luxury advent calendar gift set, a Be Perfect iconic essential set, a bottle of Chanel's Bleu de Chanel for men, and a bottle of Victor and Rolf's Flower Bomb for women. Also, a 20 by 16 inch gallery wrapped canvas, so you can have your favourite photo wrapped in canvas ready to hang on the wall. 5 daily qualifiers will be in the draw on Friday. Our qualifiers will also win a prize each day, and today's prize is a bottle of Marc Jacobs Perfect for ladies. The question is, what does Santa give to naughty children? To enter, text the word HI followed by your answer and then your name and address to 53131 or from the north to 84555. Entry will cost 30 cent or the sterling equivalent plus your operator's standard charge. McGee's Chemist in Letterkenny and McGee's.ie with loads of great present ideas for Christmas.
Ooh, feast your ears on this lot. Irish Oakham turkey joint with delicious pork, sage and onion stuffing. And why not throw in some yummy festive sides? Ooh, this dessert takes the crown. The sticky toffee pudding crown with salted caramel sauce and Madagascan vanilla custard. Someone's going to be very popular this Christmas. This is not just Christmas food. This is M&S Christmas food. In store from the 19th of December.
Free 2022 glossy farming calendar. It's one of the farming favourites of the year, and you can get your free IFA calendar only inside today's Irish Farmers Journal. For more on this week's Farmers Journal, here's Paul Mooney.
We reveal the new slurry and fertiliser rules for your farm. Government plan to save and restore old farm buildings and farmhouses. And payments for straw scheme and BDGP are on the way.
This week's Irish Farmers Journal with your free IFA calendar and Mockra magazine is on sale now.
Are you tired of waiting for treatment or surgery? Did you know you can receive immediate treatment across the border under the new NI planned healthcare scheme at potentially no cost? Donegal patients are still being treated with us at Kingsbridge Private Hospital Northwest post-Brexit. The process is easy and our dedicated team will help guide you through it. So why wait? Contact us today to find out how you can skip the waiting lists and receive treatment in Northern Ireland. Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com, because life matters.
Getting together might take a bit more planning this year. Before you do, remember to first think RSVP. Risk, symptoms, venue, people. Risk. What's the risk? Am I vaccinated or have I got my booster? Symptoms. Am I currently showing symptoms of COVID-19? Venue. Are they following the guidelines? Will I be wearing a mask? And people. How many people am I meeting? How many households are coming together? Let's all RSVP ahead so we can stay safe and enjoy Christmas this year. Find out more at gov.ie/risk-aware. Supported by the Government of Ireland.
For a huge selection of furniture, all at one showroom, pull into Grow Furnishings in Letterkenny. Sofas, beds, wardrobes, tables and chairs. Also a range of carpet, vinyl, rugs and laminated flooring. If it's time for a change, it's time for a visit to Grow Furnishings. Grove deliver throughout Donegal, Derry and Tyrone. Be inspired at Grow Furnishings, Kiltoy Road, Letterkenny.
Christmas is covered at Letterkenny Shopping Centre. Free parking, shopping and Santa under one roof. Letterkenny Shopping Centre, bringing you the time at...
Okay, the time is 27 minutes past 11. Micheal and Fionnuala are with us. Micheal, Cowboy Bebop on Netflix. I don't know what part of Netflix you live in. Never heard tell of this.
Cowboy Bebop is a new science fiction, action, comedy, drama series that Netflix dropped about a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they've already cancelled it.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. It was very high profile. There was a lot of buzz around this because it was an adaptation of a 1998 animated series that is very much beloved, which was also Cowboy Bebop and which ran for 26 half hours. So the problem with this seems to be, if you loved the original, was a real backlash against this new version, the live action version. I quite liked it, and I'm watching away at it, and I'm quite sorry that they've decided not to go to season 2.
Have Netflix not learned enough at this stage just to leave it sit there and
Yeah,
see in 6
this
months
is one of
if...
yes,
Do you know,
absolutely.
I'm interested to hear you talking about this because I
Yep.
was all set to watch it because I'd read some really good stuff about it.
Yeah.
And I'd heard some people talking about it and I was like, oh, okay, this... Because I'm not necessarily a big cowboy kind of a thing in stuff that I watch, but I was like, okay, I'll give it a bit of a go.
Well, I'll
and
tell
then
you
all of a
what
sudden I read it was cancelled and I was like,
Yeah, it was cancelled
I
because-
read nothing but positive feedback and I was shocked when I heard it got cancelled.
This is it's a sci-fi series set in the future, out in deep space on different planets, And the main characters are bounty hunters. And each episode is a different case where they track down a bounty, whether it's a mad bomber or a kidnapper or a murderer or some such, and they bring them to justice, or in most cases, completely fail to bring them to justice because these guys are not the best. So it's episodic, although there is an ongoing arc. Of course, there's an arc where one of the main bounty hunters, he's not who he appears to be, and he has, in fact, a secret life that his partner in the company doesn't know about. So it's a couple of guys on a spaceship, and there's another member joins mid-season, and they're traveling around, and it's funny. The guy behind the series is a guy called Christopher Yost. He was the scripter for Thor 3 Ragnarok. He also wrote Thor 2 Into the Dark World, or The Dark World. So it's got a sensibility of it's sort of a Star Wars version of the future. All the ships are dirty. All the buttons are kind of, sometimes things don't work and they have to bang. It's not like Star Trek where everything is pristine. And it's a funny show. It's an exaggerated show. Some of the fight scenes look like John Wick. There's people
It's like, people have old banger spaceships, that someone has cast off and they're driving around in a banger kind of thing, is it? Yeah.
And some of the planets, they go to a planet which is called New Tijuana, which actually looks like a town below the Mexican border. It looks like a sci-fi version of Better Call Saul. So it's got a sort of a tongue-in-cheek sort of appeal to it. John Cho is very funny. My main reason for watching it, well, there's a couple of reasons, but there's a guy called Mustafa Shakir. He was the bad guy in season 2 of Luke Cage. I think he's one of the most magnetic and incredible performers on TV at the moment. I think he's fantastic. He did another show called The Juice, which I didn't get around to watching. And he is one of the 2 bounty hunters in this. And he's brilliant. This guy is he's electric. He's on screen. When he's on screen, I love the character he's playing in this. I think it's a good, fun show. Visually, it looks amazing. And this is a beautiful show. They've done a lot to recreate the animated show, which I watched back in the day. And they have, followed the framing of an animated show. And the cities look beautiful. I think it's disappointing.
I just wonder the Netflix listen too much to the community, in inverted commas, that there might be, and maybe, hey, listen, they're so successful, maybe that's the way to do it, and maybe they'll hope that loads of people will campaign for it to be made again, and they can't lose.
Maybe that's what they like, is that they want the campaign. Yeah. It sounds very like Killjoys, which was on Sci-Fi.
Yes, exactly. Loved. Brilliant. Did you like that? Yeah.
Loved it.
Very well. If you liked Killjoys, you will love this, because I thought of Killjoys several times. I think Killjoys was probably influenced by the animated Cowboy Bebop. Certainly the 2 shows run well. There was great cast in Killjoys. I can't think of the lead lady. She was in the Ant-Man Wasp movie, playing the Ghost, same actress. And what's his face from Veronica Mars was in it as well. Yes, that was a good show. This is as good. And it's slightly bigger. This is a bigger budget show. And I just love it.
Check it out over Christmas.
Check it out.
To give it out of 10.
I will give it a 7, because I think it's good fun. The episodes are kind of similar. Once you get the rhythm of it, it's like, oh, look, there's another person to chase down. And they're not very good at it. Invariably, things go wrong or they lose the bounty. So you kind of suspect that. But I like it. I like the guys. I like the action. The episodes are short too. Some of them are 42 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's an easy watch.
So that's good. What was the name of the program that you said about? Oh, no, I think it was you, Fionnuala, about the gardeners or something. Because
Landscapers. I'm dying to see that. Yeah, I nearly thought I would get to it this week. Landscaper, because I
finished Succession, so I need something else. Was there anything else that I said? Oh, I must watch that. Does anyone remember?
Did you like the idea of Code 404, the comedy?
I tried Code 404. I'm 2 or 3 into it. I'm not sure.
You like it?
I'm still not sure.
Oh, you're not sure? Okay.
I
like those 2 guys. I think they're fun.
They are fun together now, and it's but I don't know if it's a little bit too crazy for me.
It is crazy. Yeah, it gets. Have you got to the episode yet with the talking fridge?
Hello,
I love that.
By the way, there's other people here.
Sorry.
It's all right.
We were all supposed to be watching Code 404.
Real niche stuff, that's a real niche.
You had said you were going to watch it too. It's the half-hour comedy Code 404.
Ah, yes, I remember that. That was, okay.
Yeah.
Sort of, it was like slapsticky kind of stuff.
It's like the detectives with Jasper Harris.
Yes, indeed.
But
I've written that down.
And I have one here now you should try and watch. It's getting great.
What a lovely segue. Go ahead.
Well, this one is what kind of made me think, oh, you've gone dark this Christmas, is because I started watching this program called Yellow Jackets. So Yellow Jackets is out on Sky. It's drops. I think it's week by week. I don't think you can get the whole lot together because it's only actually happening in America at the moment. I think America's maybe only like a week or so. It's a Showtime program. I think they're maybe like a week or 2 weeks ahead of us. That's all in it. So it's dropping fairly regular with along with that. And it's already been taken up, even though it's less than halfway through the first series. It's already been commissioned for the second series.
Lovely.
So it's up for a load of awards. It is, how best to describe this is a cross between Lord of the Flies and Alive, but with girls.
And it seems like it's a strong female cast, so it's obviously strong female characters.
It's all really females that are in it. Basically what it is that there is an American team. I still haven't worked out whether they're soccer or lacrosse or what the heck they're playing. But anyways, it's a team of American girls in New Jersey. And they have gotten through to a final. And they've gotten through to the final, some final or whatever of something, doesn't really matter. But anyways, they're flying to go to this thing and the plane crashes.
Okay.
And they end up spending 19 months living in the wilderness before they're found. The premise of this show is it starts off with the girls as they are today. So they're all kind of in their, 40s.
Post 19 months.
No, this is today now, as in they're all in their 40s now, and they've all it's 25 years later.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it's 25 years later, and they're all living regular lives. They've all came back. They all went back to normal and that kind of thing. It focuses on 4 main characters, the main girls that are in it. And then through things that start happening in their lives, there's a concern that somebody's trying to bring up all of the secrets of what actually happened during the 19 months
that they went to.
And so what it does then is there's a series of different flashbacks for different ones for the different girls, and they kind of flash back to different things that happened. And obviously they still sometimes some of them still have PTSD. Some of them are leading lives.
How do they bridge the time gap? Do they make the actors look younger?
No. They have a whole group. Every one of the 4 main actresses in particular have 4 really strong young characters that are in it. Young actresses. They're all new to me. Now people might have seen them in other stuff, whatever, but they're all really strong characters in it. Now, do not sit down and watch this with your children. This is definitely an over 18s. Because when I went into it, I had downloaded it, and every once in a while it asks you to put in your password to watch it. And I was like, what's this all about? Like, it's an American show about things. I was about 20 minutes in, and I was like, all right, okay. It's definite. There's like a kind of a scary element to it. I'm like about 3 or 4 episodes in at this point. Now we're wondering whether there's something in the woods for those girls. There's also possibly something happening in now time as well.
Excellent. So you don't truly know where it's going, which is
no, absolutely. I to be honest, I just assumed it was going to be kind of a one-act kind of a thing, the way they do. There's 10 episodes in it. The women in it are fantastic. Melanie Linsky, Christina Ricci is one of the producers and writers of it. From the Addams Family. She
and other stuff,
in this is quite possibly psychotic.
Yes.
She's hilarious. Juliette Lewis always plays kind of like a real edgy kind of characters anyway.
She's a very interesting actress.
She is. She's always played. She seems to really gravitate towards those kind of more edgier and like I don't know. She just seems to like things in which she doesn't look pretty.
Yeah.
As in, you know what I mean? As in, she has to look that kind of edge sort of to it. She plays one of the girls who's now grown up but has a drug and alcohol problem, but kind of embraces it.
Yeah, she's been in some great films.
She's in loads of things. And then Tawny Cypress, who's been in, you recognise her from a few things that she's been in along the way. But it's just, the characters in it are really strong. As I said, it's a little...
concept is really interesting.
Well, it is, because I have to say, I often wonder that, because, most people have read Lord of the Flies at different times in school, and in particularly most boys, men of my age, have read it because it used to be on the curriculum. And the curriculum used to be much smaller than what it was. And I know when we used to talk about it in school, we were always thinking, oh yeah, that would have been worse if girls were involved, because teenage girls can be a little bit crazy, just as a group. So this is just really interesting because you've got that teenage girl thing already happening, as in there's all this kind of back and forth and who's going with whose boyfriend and all this kind of stuff. Then you have the element of them being in lost in the forest. Then you have the different personality types. You also then have them now, where they are in their lives now, whether, they're successful, the impact of what happened 25 years ago has still had on them, does it stay with them going forward? So I'm really recommending it. I really enjoyed it. Do not sit down and watch it if you think, oh, this is going to be my Bridgerton of 2021. It is not. I'm still searching for the Bridgerton of 2021 for Christmas. This is not it, but it is definitely really enjoyable, really strong characters, and a real interesting storyline that, in fairness, could go totally crazy. And the way they've kind of framed it, you're like, oh yeah, okay.
Right, okay, I'm fascinated by your review. That's Yellowstone. It's
Yellow
available.
Jacket.
Yellow Jacket, I beg your pardon.
Mhm.
We talk about Yellowstone every week. None of us have watched it. Yellowstone on Sky Atlantic, 10 episodes. They're
Yellow
about halfway
Jackets on
through.
Sky Atlantic,
Sorry,
yeah.
Yellow Jackets. They're about halfway through the run.
Yes, they're about halfway
The Power
through
of
the
the
run.
Dog is a new Western on Netflix. It is absolutely amazing. It's just like Quentin Tarantino's film Django. If you like Clint Eastwood Westerns, you will love this and rave on about it for months, Greg. Any spaghetti Western fans among you? Well, I love Django. I thought that was good. And a few of Clint Eastwood's more contemporary cowboy-based films.
Yeah.
Unforgiven would presumably fall into that category.
Yeah,
I think it's an excellent film.
It is, yeah. And the older
I watched my dad watching Westerns my entire life, and I never really got into them.
Yeah.
But
To be honest, I'm glad to hear a good review of that, because I have looked at it and wondered, but I thought maybe it was going to be one of those like moseying through the plains and not a lot of talking. You know the way it
Bridgerton, no?
It's there's a lot happened in Bridgerton. Happened in Bridgerton. But I thought it'd be a bit moseying, so that's
Sorry, I
fine.
beg your pardon. Kevin was on, wishing us Merry Christmas. Merry
Very
Christmas
good.
to you, Kevin.
Happy Christmas, yeah, Merry Christmas.
Some Christmas movies I saw on Sky Christmas Channel. Are they really festive? Although I won't have a word said about Die Hard. Well, that's it, Gremlins, Long Kiss Goodnight. Are they festive turkeys, so to speak? But fear not, Home Alone, The Snowman, It's a Wonderful Life are all free to view on Channel 4 on Christmas Day. And the festive fave film, Some Like It Hot, and G First Escape, except for the feathered turkey. G First. I don't know what that is. All right, okay. But Some Like It Hot. That's Marilyn Monroe, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great film.
I love that film, but I never think of it as kind of a
festive
Christmassy movie.
Oh.
I didn't even.
I think it got shown a lot at Christmas in years gone by.
The
maybe
Great
that's
Escape.
why.
The Great Escape, of course.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's a Christmas classic. Yeah.
I don't know how that's a Christmas classic either, because it's not set. Now, and I say that we
it's
watch
just-
it. But
yeah,
it's not
but it's
set
just-
at Christmas like.
It used to show up a lot. Like I can remember, like almost every Christmas or St. Stephen's Day, it would be on. So then it becomes in your brain.
We're conditioned to
yeah.
see them as Christmas films.
Yeah.
Like
That's what I mean,
Live and
when
Let
they're
Die
not
or
set.
something. Maybe not as much now, but certainly.
yeah, because I've Gremlins on my list now again. I must watch it again. 'cause it
Okay,
was on
I've
there.
got ad breaks on my list. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more after them.
That was well done.
Chanel, Flowerbomb, Lancôme, Giorgio Armani, Paco Rabanne, Hugo Boss. Where else but at McGee's Chemist this Christmas? Sponsors of the 9 till noon show.
Give the gift of sport from Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure. See the range of 6-foot Riley folding pool tables. Great for family fun every Christmas. Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure, Main Street, Letterkenny, and online at bmcsports.ie.
Hake and Dublin Bay prawn chowder. Grilled trout with pak choy. This Christmas, add a fresh idea to any table with Irish seafood, like organic smoked salmon or fresh Irish oysters. For starters or for mains, weekday dishes or a weekend treat. Irish seafood is available in your local fishmonger or supermarket. It's easy to prepare and it adds variety to your festive meals. Enjoy the best that our fishermen bring ashore. And for great Irish seafood recipes, visit boardbia.ie/fish.
Island-wide delivery of vegan, organic and biodynamic wines from the Wine Centre Dairy online at absoluteorganicwine.com. Guaranteed Christmas delivery if ordered by Sunday, December 19th. Guaranteed New Year's delivery if ordered by Tuesday, December 28th. Nullig Honadiv. Merry Christmas. Free delivery on selected Prosecco orders over the festive season. See absoluteorganicwine.com for more details.
At Aldi, we've got hundreds of passionate, award-winning suppliers all over Ireland. Fancy a pre-Christmas tour? First, Clogher Head and Morgan's Fine Fish for those juicy, specially selected Dublin Bay prawns. Next, Roaring Water Bay for Dan Hickey's specially selected fresh free-range goose. Finally, to Tipperary for Ireland's Christmas product of the year, Jim O'Dwyer's specially selected exquisite roast rib of beef. Aldi, the best of Ireland brought home to your table for Christmas.
Highland Radio has a Christmas cracker of a competition. How would you like to win 500 litres home heating oil from O'Donnell Fuels Crawley, a fantastic gold meat hamper from Joe McGee Butchers, a huge Christmas goodie hamper from Kelly Centra, and a €200 Shop LK gift card, courtesy of Letterkenny Chamber of Commerce. To enter, answer the following question. In the Fairy Tale of New York song, what were the boys of the NYPD choir singing?
Text Highland, followed by your name and answer to 57080. From Northern Ireland, text 87121. Texts cost €2 or £1.50 plus the operator's network charge. The winner will be announced on the Jive Time show on Tuesday the 22nd of December. Highland Radio, helping make this Christmas extra special.
In as little as 3 minutes, you could die from smoke inhalation. A working smoke alarm gives you a chance to get out. It might be the sound that saves your life. Test your smoke alarms regularly, remove obvious dangers, and have an escape route planned. Visit firesafetyweek.ie for more fire safety tips. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
At Chrysler Supermarket, our shelves are stocked full of Christmas goodies, and we're now taking orders for Christmas. Make this Christmas dinner special by ordering your Noon's turkey and delicious ham in advance. All orders by the 20th of December in time for Christmas collection. Gift vouchers available in store. Merry Christmas from all at Chrysler Supermarket.
Looking to gift your staff this Christmas? Why not spoil them with a McElhinney's gift card? For corporate packages, call us on 074 913 1217. McElhinney's Ballybuffet for the dreamers this Christmas. Open Sundays from 11 to 6 or shop online with free next day delivery at mcelhenneys.com.
Candles, lanterns, Christmas tree, decorations, elf on the shelf and all types of lights. It's everything you need for Christmas. Experience the magic of Christmas at Cooney's Letterkenny. Our biggest and best ever Christmas shop is open 7 days with unbeatable value on lights, trees and accessories. There's something for everyone this Christmas at Cooney's Letterkenny Retail Park.
Santa is in his magical grotto at the Courtyard Shopping Centre every day this week from 12 to 5. The Courtyard, Letterkenny, open to 9 p.m. this Thursday and Friday and open Sunday from 10 to 6.
Open up your weekend with the Irish Independent on Saturday. 25 years after her murder, what do we know about the woman at the centre of one of Ireland's great unsolved crimes? In review, with an in-depth portrait of her life, we go in search of the real Sophie Toscan de Plantier. In Weekend, enjoy the 50 good news stories of the year. Plus, our writers try out some festive jobs. Find your escape this weekend with the Irish Independent on Saturday. Up close and independent.
And now the Highland Forecast, brought to you by Shop LK. Widespread Christmas shopping this December in Letterkenny. See shoplk.ie or like us on Facebook.
Dry and mostly cloudy with occasional periods of sunshine. Highest temperatures of 7 to 10 degrees in light to moderate southeast breezes. Right, competition time here now. Let me just open this here because I can't see what I'm looking at. There we go. I was looking at Michael. Right, so I have to be really careful with this. Friday's winner of our fantastic competition, thanks to our very generous friends at McGee's Pharmacy. The Friday winner is... I have to be really careful because there's no overall winner as well. The Friday winner is Paddy McDade of Doon, Termon, Letterkenny. He wins the daily prize. Congratulations to you, Paddy. Now, these were put into the supercomputer, and we had 5 people that won over the course of the week. And the winner of our overall prize, which is a hamper worth in excess of €500, a super prize, it's Tuesday's winner, Caroline Quinn from beautiful Glenties. So congratulations to you, Paddy, your Friday's daily prize winner. Congratulations to you, Caroline Quinn and Glenties, your Tuesday's winner. And you've won that hamper, and they are crackers. Right, there's another competition going. I'm not really sure if it's sort of caught the public's imagination. It's the colouring in competition. okay,
Oh,
that
yeah.
we are engaging in. And really, it's just to try and get someone who works at Highland to sing on the radio. That's just my motivation for it. Everything
yes.
else is sort of by the by. So Sean
Not gonna be
Quinn
me.
of the sales team is involved. Rory Farrell of the Breakfast Show, me, and Fionnuala. And we are going to do the colouring in competition that's open now, and I want you to plug that as well so people can get
Yeah.
their entries in by Monday.
Yep, they have until
Maybe Tuesday.
close business Monday. But
Alright,
like
okay.
obviously, we'll hold on. until
Wednesday, you're
after.
pushing it, all right?
Oh
But
no,
certainly-
definitely. Do you know how long it took us to
I
pick the
know.
winner of the last one?
So we're going to do it today, right? And then we're going to put the four of us, and if any other staff member wants to get involved, we're going to put the four of us are on social media, and then the public hopefully will judge the winner, and whoever gets the least amount of votes will sing on Highland Radio on Thursday or Friday's
Yes.
show. Right, and I'm not
I'd like
gonna-
to fix it slightly by saying that I'm told you have a beautiful voice, and I'd really like to hear it. So I
No.
encourage people
Well, firstly, I
not to
don't.
vote for Greg.
Well, also, I
so
just
that we
think-
can totally hear him sing.
No, we're not going to do that because that would not be fair. This is a colouring in competition. That's the forfeit. So we're going to put that up on social media and get people to vote. And whoever
Yeah.
has the least amount of votes can sing a song. We're going to maybe go Christmas, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so that's going to be exciting.
Yeah,
It could be
100%.
maybe a Christmas
Oh, I'm
number
taking
one.
it very seriously.
Me too.
I
Sean
did-
Quinn's
do you-
taking it too seriously.
Yeah, did you do that? Well, I think
Well,
Sean,
she's a very good colouring inner. She's going to win.
Sean Quinn went to Smith's and raided Smith's colouring crayon section and just went daft. I did two.
Right,
'cause I'm
well,
undecided.
you can't do two.
Oh,
for
I'm
those
going to
that are
enter
watching-
one of them. I just couldn't
For those that
decide
are
as I
watching on
was in
social
it.
media, do you want to show up what we're up against here?
Oh yeah, well
Or
that's.
do you want to
one-
give it to me because my camera's a bit better than yours?
All right. Well,
Okay.
You can have one of them or two of them, whatever you want.
I'm going to take one of them. Why are you taking it so seriously?
Because I just can't decide which one I
What
like
if
the
my
best.
pen slipped all over it? Okay, so
I worked very hard on that last night.
There's Fionnuala's effort, which I have to say is fantastic. Now, of course, I apologise. The absolute majority of you are listening on radio, so this doesn't make much sense. But what I'm doing is I'm holding up an A4 sheet of paper here that Fionnuala has coloured in.
Yeah.
Except
You download
for the,
the
snow.
picture for anybody that wants to get involved over the weekend with our overall colouring competition. You can download the picture on highlandradio.com and get colouring.
Well
Drop
done,
it
actually.
into
It's
us,
lovely.
send it in the post to us, whatever you like. As I said, we'll be closing on Monday, or maybe Tuesday post, and then we will start the
Judging process.
Oh my
In
God.
other words, the infighting.
That's you, and what usually means I have to take another trip down as far as Smith's or whatever local toy store in order to get more colouring stuff for prizes and everything.
Well, that's
but
what I was
it's
going to
gonna be
say is
exciting.
because you take a great interest in everything that happens here, but the prizes are particularly good because you take a particular interest in the colouring in competition.
I know.
Let's just.
Plus, I love going shopping for toys, so I kind of was going a bit cracked. I was like, oh, I'd love them. So I kind of bought all the little arty stuff that I'd love myself and I put it in the thing.
Which is kind of nice because if people are entering it, they probably have an interest in art and it fits lovely. Okay, so go on to our website, highlandradio.com, download the picture and colour it in, and you'll need to get it into us by end of business on Monday, but obviously there could be some slight delays. But we definitely need everyone in by first post on Tuesday. Not that we get second post. I just heard that on Blue Peter once. So,
and it's the start of our major giveaway all next week. So far,
so we're going to dedicate the rst of the program to plugging then. Yeah?
No, I'm just saying. I'm trying to let people know that next week we will be giving away from 7 to 7. I think I had it worked out. I can't remember exactly now. But we'll be giving away every hour. We'll be giving away a prize. And focusing on a local business around
and there are some lovely stuff in here.
There's some
so
awesome
right
stuff.
across the programming, all in Christmas week. Let's call it
Yeah.
what it is in Christmas week.
In
We're
Christmas
gonna
week, every
look
day.
forward to hopefully as best as we can an enjoyable Christmas. We're going to do our bit. So that's every
100%.
hour.
Every hour. We
really a
yeah.
prize every hour
Yeah.
next week.
I gave myself
great,
that
yeah.
challenge and I have achieved my goal.
And then on Thursday.
Don't tell me I can't do something. That's when
I
I'm
know
really too
exactly,
good.
and I was at that meeting. Then on Thursday, it's the big one.
Thursday's
a
the
car
big-
worth almost 30
Yeah.
grand to give away, plus 5 prizes of €1,000.
Yeah, and plus the big hamper is
That's
given
on
away.
David's show on.
I think it's the Thursday as
Thursday,
well, but I
isn't
can't
it? The
remember now. I
23rd,
can't
yeah.
remember. Is it
The
Thursday or the
23rd,
Friday? But it's definitely going through the week. Yeah, so next week is going to be a massive week of giveaways to try and give people a little bit of cheer.
I mean, if you're a
coming up to
regular
Christmas.
listener to Highland and you listen all week and you enter, right, you're in with a really good chance of winning something. So that's that's.
And I promise some of them will be phoning, because I know there's always people that don't like to use the text and don't like to use social media. So we'll be spreading it across all of the channels.
Right, so just a couple of things to recap. The colouring competition, go on our website there, download the picture, colour it in, get it into us, and have a bit of fun with it, because that's what it is. Secondly, get on and click the win a car icon if you want to be in with a chance to win a car worth nearly 30 grand plus 1,000 €1,000 cash prizes. That is all next Thursday, plus the hamper. Get involved in the hamper competition as well, because it is a real cracker. And also listen all next week 7 to 7. We've got a super prize. All jokes aside, Fionnuala and the team have gone to great efforts to make it really, really good, and working with our local businesses as well. That's all next week, so you don't want to miss that in any way, shape, or form. Are you excited for Christmas, Micheal, or what kind? I know you watch like horror Christmas films, so I don't know if that's sort of. But you are quite a thoughtful, caring character, aren't you? So you love Christmas, I can tell.
I do. I enjoy it. Yeah. I mean, I thank you very much for the compliment. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to, just in terms of, for me personally, I'm looking forward to a couple of things that I've picked out to watch, of course, and I've saved up. And in general, I like the vibe of it. Yeah, I do. I don't think I'm overly sentimental about it. And I'm one of those people that doesn't like to start it too early, but I like to embrace those 12 days of Christmas.
It's a real Christmas, not the commercial Christmas.
I agree. Yeah, that's what
he looked like Santa for 2/3 of the year. He looked like Santa for 2/3 of the year.
Bad Santa.
Ooh, okay.
Bad Santa. Yeah, all right. Let me see. Shall we? I'll tell you, we might just do a final one with Fionnuala, Micheal.
Yes.
Madonna night on BBC One on Saturday.
I just
because we've only got a minute, and I think
I just flagged this up, and I'm sure Michael's probably seen it as well. They seem to be doing like BBC do this every once in a while, where they do kind of the little tribute. And on Saturday night, it starts at 9:00, and there is Madonna BBC, and then after that, then is Desperately Seeking Susan. Now, I was a massive, massive Madonna fan back in the day, and she kind of went a little bit left of field there
good.
for me.
Acting, I've not really seen her in anything any good.
I did like the Evita. I thought she wasn't too bad in it. But to be honest, in this, I think if you watch this, it's sort of an older Madonna, as in going back in the day, not older as in age. And I think it'll be for all those people out there that don't understand what all the big fuss is about her. Yeah. But like in her day, she was absolutely amazing. I mean, sometimes you see pictures of her now and you're like, she's a bit time capsules and that kind of thing.
Absolutely massive.
And this would have been at the peak of the time when we did everything in our power. Me and all of my friends down in Oranmore did everything in our power to be as closely looking like her as we possibly could. Dyed the hair, got the leg warmers, tried hats.
Fionnuala, I'll see you on this item next week, Christmas Eve.
Aye.
Chat
hopefully.
To you then. Say no more about that. You'll be here, I'm sure. Micheal, see you soon.
See you soon.
All right, have a great one. Take care. All right, that's the 9 till noon show here in Highland Radio. Thank you for everything in terms of listening and getting involved over the course of the week. We're back with you on Monday. Have a great weekend.
The 9 till noon